What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All Things Super. I am one of your hosts, Spider, and I am joined by Mr. VIP, Frankie Washington. How are you doing today, sir?
I am infinitely awesome.
Nice.
Thank you for asking. How are you doing, sir?
I'm a little sleep deprived, but I'm still doing fantastic. Happy to be here.
You're next door doing that all-night flight, right?
Yeah, all-night flight. You know, it's just red eyes, and it just jet lag, and you just lose it. You just lose it. There's nowhere else you can do.
Like Eminem said, just lose it.
that was a different age of Eminem. Like, do you realize, like, now where M is in his career, how we had like different stages of like M's evolution throughout his entire career?
Of course. He was going wild and crazy, and he apologized, and then he said screw y'all, and then he called Elton John, and then he made some music, and you know, he has the anthem though with the Lose Yourself and the Rabbit Run. Those two back to back. You was going to the gym and you was just crushing weights, and it's like this one shot, one opportunity.
I will wonder if when he was in the studio recording that, you know, because that was his acting debut, you know, he doing the soundtrack for his own movie and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
Like when he was recording that. Right. When he was recording that, did he have any idea of the magnitude that song was going to reach?
I don't think those guys really know. I think in the studio you have a kind of idea like, oh yeah, this is a hit. Yeah, this is gonna be a hit. And then there's a lot of guys that's documented that say, oh yeah, this is a hit, and they put it out and it didn't do anything.
Right.
And some guys just like sleeping and say, well, I'll just throw it out. I don't feel like it's a hit.
But this is something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, next thing you know, it take off. You know, so they're really humbled on stage, like, y'all really love this skit. We were just messing around.
Right, we were just joking around in the studio.
Now we got Grammys and Oscars and awards and all kind of accolades. We were just having fun. And there's something genuine about that. There's something, like we were just talking about this. We have fun when we're on this show.
Right.
So to us, it don't matter how far it goes, but the fact that it goes somewhere, thanks. We appreciate y'all. We really do.
We really do.
You're in a great conversation between me and one of the most awesome guys that you could ever be in a great conversation with, and we're here.
And we are here. We are here at All Things Super. If you don't know what it is, every week we take a piece of superpower TV, movie trailers. We watch them, we react to them, we break them down, we review them, and we answer the question, is it super?
Ooh, is it?
You knew it was coming.
I did, and I thought I was going to make it in time. I didn't. It's okay.
But if you like that, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that come out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, you can just search for All Things Super on any of your major podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to join in on the conversation, you can tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
And we love y'all.
And we love y'all.
That's why we read the comments.
Because we love hearing what y'all have to say and the opinions that you contribute to our opinions. That's why we are here. We all have an opinion. We watch stuff and we form an opinion about it. And then, you know, we want to be that person that you could talk to about it.
We're here purely for entertainment. So if you're offended by anything that we say,
too bad.
Then you're on the wrong network. You're on the wrong channel. You're on the wrong. This is the Not Offended channel. Welcome to the Not Offended channel. If you are, again, keep scrolling. Scrolling on my cell phone. I would love to know how many people watching on their cell phone versus watching on a laptop, though. If you're watching on a laptop or a cell phone, leave that in the comments. I'm curious to see who's watching us on the go and who's sitting down and watching us in a still position. Well, not still position, but maybe Maybe you're
just
washing dishes or something.
yeah, I was saying just tell
Doing
us
homework.
how you're consuming the episode. If you're listening to the audio version and you're listening through your phone or you're listening through one of your home devices or anything, let us know.
Devices.
Yeah, because I don't want to say it because
Yeah.
I got one sitting next to me and it's gonna go off if I say the name.
Oh, well, that's
And
how the
also they're not
government knows what
sponsored,
you're doing.
so we're not dropping brand names here.
If you want to be sponsored, you let us know. Hit us up in the comments.
But yeah, just let us know how you take in the show. What's your preferred method of listening to podcasts?
Whoa. Whoa.
What? Would you
That's a
prefer
lot to take in.
Would you prefer that I said ingest?
Welcome
No.
to the show.
But in this episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit special because we are building to the first feature film of the Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh my God! You saw that? You saw how I did that? You saw if y'all doing the podcast on the audio, you need to switch to the video.
Gotta watch it. You're missing out on some very interesting gestures.
Well, it was not less than interesting, I'll say that.
But we're building up to the first film of Phase 5, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And so before we get into Phase 5, we want to take a look back where we journeyed to in Phase 4.
Oh my God.
Phase 4 was the introduction of Disney Plus as a streaming platform. So we got the first MCU Disney Plus TV shows.
Yeah, man. I mean, let's be honest. The way the MCU expanded, nobody could not have seen that coming. Disney was not about to let Amazon or just Netflix or any other competition continue to make money off the IPs. They're like, we could do a streaming network and make money off our own IPs.
We got more content than Netflix could ever have.
And Disney Plus was one. They really didn't have it at the current point in time.
Mm-mm.
In fact, let's go ahead and be honest. They rolled the dice on this. And they don't want to say it, but they kind of put it all on the back of Jon Favreau. You thought I was going to say Kevin Feige, but I wasn't. I'm saying Jon Favreau. Because just like Jon Favreau saved the MCU, he actually saved Disney Plus too.
Right.
With the show called The
Mandalorian.
Which is in its third season now.
Coming into its third season, yeah.
Coming into its third season. So if it was not the success of The Mandalorian and then Kevin Feige's baby, WandaVision, it would have been out the door.
It wasn't even supposed to be WandaVision. WandaVision wasn't supposed to be first. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first.
And look how God makes no mistakes.
Well, if that doesn't give you any kind of hint of what we're doing, we're going to be ranking the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 TV shows. We're going to be saying what our favorites were, what our least favorites were, and we're going to go through each one to explain why we feel that way.
Before we get into that, let me ask you this random question about Disney. I hope the audio got it because you got it. Talking on microphone,
they got
doing something crazy. Okay. Is the Disney vault forever gone?
Is the Disney vault forever gone?
Disney made a premium because they did something that was so genius. What they did was they started to take their properties out the DVD cases, out the shelves, and they went away
forever,
for years and years,
supposedly forever
until they say it's going into the vault. It's not coming out until some years later. They come out and they remaster it. And of course, it's kind of like the McRib at McDonald's.
Right.
Oh, let me get the McRib before it leaves. You go ahead and let it leave.
Yes.
But you wanted to get your hands on that sweet Snow White or that Bambi or Peter Pan before it went back into the vault, and they made their properties exclusive in the sense of you better act now because it's going to
because it's going to be going away again. So you're saying is Disney Plus the end of the vault? No, I don't think so.
Well, can I go on Disney Plus and look for Bambi and find it?
I think so.
There you go.
But that's not to say that they won't do the same thing again and just pull it off the streaming service, because it's a lot easier to pull it off the streaming service than to take stock back off shelves.
That's horrible, Disney. Why would you do that to your loyal subscription paying customers? Don't do that.
I don't know, but that is a good question. That, you know, and I think that the reason that they may have put those things into the vault because they knew that the medium that it was on was getting, you know, outdated. So they probably took it back to the vault to remaster it, and then you're like, oh, now it's a big thing. But like you said, the marketing scheme behind it, for whatever reason that they were doing it, was absolute genius.
And here we are, Disney Plus. Vault open while doors are open. While supplies last. I didn't. It didn't fit, but okay, you get the gist. Just wanted to throw that question out there. Now, drum roll, please. We're gonna start this countdown, ladies, gentlemen, children of older ages, because if you're under 18, you might want to get out of here. So some bombs going off, bombs over MCU. We're gonna start from the bottom to the top. So
right, the exact opposite of what you just did. Number 8.
Wait, oh yeah, well, you know.
There were only 8 shows in Phase 4.
I'm trying to throw our show in there and a couple extra ones. Trying to let me know if you need
number 10, House of the Dragon. I hated it because there was no connection to the MCU. The story didn't make sense in the continuity. Right. It was a good show by itself.
Didn't even show up on Disney Plus, so
right.
You know,
had to go to a whole other streaming service to watch it.
What's going on, Disney? I thought you had big pockets. You were supposed to get these dragons in here. You know what I'm saying? You got Shang-Chi and his dragon.
Yeah.
All right. They're like, what are these guys? All right. So, do you want to go first and then I go, or do you want me to go and then you go?
You can go and then I'll go.
Since you got your bottle in your hand, let me go. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what my number 8 was. The other 2 you can insert your own movies in there. They didn't make the cut anyway. So number 8, and it's gonna be hard for me to say it, but I gotta say it. My good guy, Mr. Mackey himself, Mr. Cut the Check.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to do it. I have to do it. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my pick, but it was pretty much cut and promoted, and they had the biggest emphasis on it after coming off of Endgame. We had Steve did something. You knew he did something. He was supposed to bring the Stones back. He came back, overshot his time, was sitting in the bench. He's old now.
Old man Rogers.
So many questions are unanswered. What happened when he brought the Stones back? How did it happen when he put the Soul Stone back? If he put the Soul Stone back, does that mean Natasha comes back? Does that mean Gamora comes back? Does that mean the Red Skull's free? We did get confirmation that the Red Skull is free to do his own things now. Does that mean the Soul Stone has no guardian? I mean, there's so many unanswered questions going on with that, and we don't get any of that. We just move on. So we thought we was going to get some implications of this in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We didn't. We learned that there's these flag smashers that prefer the world the way the blimp was post-blip, because they didn't have borders. Obviously, the world's in chaos. 50% of the living population has just disappeared. We loved ones, family members. You cannot imagine, and this is probably why Marvel decided to move away from it, because the fallout from this is so massive, so devastating.
You think about
how does the world even come together?
Right, and you think about when we saw at the end of Infinity War post-credit scene where you had Nick Fury and Maria Hill driving through the street. They look up in the sky. You have helicopters and planes flying out of the sky. So even you think about, like you said, 50% of the population just in a blink of an eye doesn't exist anymore. What about all the rest of those people in those situations. The people, somebody laying on a operating table and their surgeon disappears, right? And you think about all of the right. You think about all of the other lives that are impacted, that the people that they didn't blip, but they were just an unfortunate accident. You're on the road just driving. Next thing you know, somebody blipped out of their car. Car keeps going. Accident.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Feige, no, the Russos. I want to make sure I say this correct. The Russos said the Smart Hulk, was smart enough to wish people back safely.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that are gone. But what about the people that was in the building that survived, that the plane crashed into? Like, there are real implications that happen.
I mean, ever since Avengers, and Chitauri came in, blew up half of New York. And it's like we briefly touched on some of the aftermath about that in Spider-Man Homecoming, but for the most part, like, all of these people's lives are, for the most part, ignored because of the actions of superheroes.
The most we got out of implications like this was Zemo. Zemo said he lost his family during Sokovia, during the Ultron was trying to take the city and throw it, or the country of Sokovia, or at least a piece of it, and throw it and hit the ground and cause a catastrophic event for everyone to die.
And he said,
Zemo lost his family.
Where were the Avengers? The Avengers went home. Like, I lost my family, the Avengers went home.
So how can you not sympathize with the man's motives on him trying to break? You didn't try to destroy him, but he tried to break him up.
Right.
Because the idea of superheroes, again, that was a great part of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was the glue that kind of held it together. I don't like how they did my man Anthony Mackie or Sam Wilson. Why does Sam has to struggle to get financing at the bank?
Right.
He saved the world just like everybody else. It was an interesting storyline, but it kind of there's no one else that's struggling with finances right now. No one. Like, Smart Hulk got an island.
Right.
Clint Barton got a ranch.
Got a whole, yeah.
And the ranch is something that S.H.I.E.L.D. helps him set up and keep off the grid. So Falcon wasn't working for S.H.I.E.L.D.?
And especially because at the end of Civil War, he was like, well, not Civil War. At the end of
Winter Soldier,
he was like part of the new Avengers.
He right there, flew in. The man said Avengers, and we cut the black, but he was right there.
Right.
So you telling me Steve Rogers' right-hand man can't? Is this a Jordan Pippen deal? What's going on with this? What is going on with this? Sam can't get a loan. He saved the unit. He was right there on the front line. Now he's struggling to save his sister's family legacy.
Yeah,
his sister's boat, and then he got to fix the boat.
Right.
Like, and then we got the flag smashers in here, and I'm sorry, they're just motivation. I understand it has to be what it is. You got a lot of things you're trying to adapt to the storyline, but at the same time, come on, Sam. She's murdering people. She's literally murdering, and she's telling you, I'm not going to stop.
Right.
And you're she's just a kid. Come on, dude. She's a psychopath. What is going on? You gotta put her down. You ain't gotta play. Nothing else, at least immobilize her.
The parallels, because they were trying to do the same thing in Civil War to Wanda, because Wanda was part of. Now, granted, it's different because Wanda was part of an accident, whereas Carly is like actually going out with the purpose to, kill people. But Steve said
she stole the super soldier serum
with
the intent of killing people.
But Steve said, while they were meeting with General Ross, or I guess Congressman Ross, or Deputy Director Ross, or whatever role he had. But
hey, be careful. He had a heart attack.
Yes.
the character. Rest in peace to the actor.
Yeah. But when they were talking about Wanda being detained, that was what Steve said. Steve was like, she's just a kid. So you think of all I'm saying is just notice the parallel between what Sam said versus what Steve said, kind of like going into that Captain America mantle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you and saying
No.
that Sam is right or anything. I'm just saying that was, they just the cinematic parallel that they have in the dialogue taken after Steve.
This is before Wanda did anything to anybody. This is not Westview. This is pre-Westview.
Yeah, but there was still
So
that explosion and that killed those people at the hospital.
yeah, but at the same time, she was saving Steve Rogers' life.
True.
Yeah, she's not going out there with intent to kill anyone.
No, and I agree.
And she was in training. So Carly was a full-on murderer. She is not holding, and the whole little team was kind of out of pocket.
Right.
Great thing is we did get the introduction of John Walker, the U.S. agent.
Mm-hmm.
What's his friend that died? I forget his name. It's coming back to me, and I don't know. I just wanted to keep snapping, but I can't remember his name. He. I don't feel like he had to die, but I understand that he did die,
Mm-hmm.
and that was his right hand man, which called John, who was already unhinged, to go ape shit.
Right.
But at the same time, you now have a strong contrast between Captain America and the U.S. agent, which again, Zemo was nice enough to give us context of, because he said there's never been another guy who has been like Steve Rogers. Everyone else that takes the super soldier serum let it consume them and turn them into something else.
Right.
Which again, Erskine said as much in the first Captain America movie.
Lamar Hoskins.
He said it only. What was his superhero name?
Battlestar.
Battlestar. He got it right to the chest, right to the Battlestar. Right so boom, battle over. So the super soldier serum only makes you more of what you are. If you're an asshole, you're gonna be a more asshole. If you're a nice guy, you're gonna be a better nice guy. That's just what the instructions were.
Right.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of those guys that got the super soldier serum in Civil War, the one that Zemo killed.
Right.
Damn, Zemo, murderer himself. What villain? When they were fighting, do you think that the influence of the super soldier serum took over them? I mean, they were going hard in the paint to the point that the guard got scared. He was like, "Get me out of here!"
Right. I mean, it's
Bucky
possible.
had to come through.
It's possible.
How much did the super soldier serum play a part into Abomination losing his mind? Even though later on in She-Hulk, he said he was only following orders.
Well, he was following orders into taking the super soldier serum, and I think the after effects of that, like you said, it was an obsession at that point that he wanted more power. He wanted to be stronger. But had he not been ordered to take down the Hulk and have them, give him the super soldier serum, it would have never started.
I don't know about this juice, man. Be careful with this juice. Falcon was right not to take this nonsense. But that's my number 8. What's your number 8? Is your number 8 the same as my number 8?
My number 8 is not the same as your number 8.
Here we go. Welcome to the show.
My number 8. My number 8 is Miss Marvel.
Kamala Khan?
Yes, Kamala Khan.
America's treasure?
MCU fangirl Kamala Khan, played by Mangalani. Yes, my number 8 is Miss Marvel.
Wow.
The first couple of episodes where we get to meet Kamala and we get to see her journey into exploring her powers, I thought that was great. But when you got into the second half of the season and you get into just the history of the bangle, where it's coming from, we get this nod to it being a part of the 10 rings, and so it has this galactic property that we find. But it took
I just got this in my mind, like, you Bengal hating bitch. I hate the Bengals.
It's not that I hate the Bengals. It's just that I felt like the second half of the season, when it came to, especially when it came to the time travel portion, um, it felt like it was trying to do too much, because not only did we get Kamala traveling back in time to save her own grandparents,
Created a paradox.
right, created a paradox,
100%.
but then we get back to the present and we're supposed to just immediately jump right back into where we picked, where we left the story. And now it's not even right where we left, because now everything is escalated to where there's this woman in this government agency who's prejudiced against brown people, and now she wants to send an entire tactical team after high school kids.
Right? You gonna do a school shooting? What?
But
the DOD.
It just seemed like it knew what it wanted to do, but in executing it, it definitely fumbled the ball at the end of the season. And then, the last episode, the last minute of the last episode, they want to throw in the word mutant, and now they get the internet, in a craze for the next 5 years until X-Men comes out and is a part of the MCU. But it just,
I'm gonna reserve all mine for when it hits the list.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not far from what you're saying.
Gotcha. But yeah, so it was just, I just felt like it in the whole thing, the season just got jumbled up, and it looked like if it wanted to go into one direction and be an origin story of her exploring her powers and understanding what she's capable of, then I think that was good. But then adding the entire escalation of it, it threw me out. And out of the 8 shows, that's my number 8.
America's sweetheart. She had a lot of boy choices in there. God, she had like 4.
Yeah, 3
love interests. Oh, you're not counting like?
Well, not even 3. It was 2, because she never saw Bruno as a love interest.
That don't mean he didn't want some of that.
No, he absolutely did.
Sweet Marvel.
What's your number 7?
Hold on, because I got a list. I wrote it down on the clipboard. I'm ready for y'all today.
It's official.
Number 7. I actually have it tied up, but I'm going to go ahead and try to keep it in order. So I'll just go ahead, for the sake of the countdown and this list, I'm going to say She-Hulk.
Okay.
That's right. Miss Tatiana Maslany. And here's why. Nothing wrong with Tatiana Maslany's performance. Nothing wrong with the CGI. I know y'all gonna go harping on the CGI. Nothing wrong with a female-led story. I think we had a lot of stuff going on that we had to cut and reshoot, and maybe it's an editing thing. I think we were talking about this before. Titania busted in a courtroom just to get punched. Just to get punched.
Right.
Like, what was the purpose? I mean, they talked about it a little bit, but not enough.
Barely.
She came in that room with intent.
Right, because it's like, if you are trying, because the whole excuse was she was trying to escape a traffic court ticket and she got lost in the courtroom. But if you just get lost in a courtroom, you're not going to throw a whole damn table at the jury. Like, you would bust through, you'd be like, oh, this is not where I need to go.
Traffic court works.
I mean,
jury doesn't rely on traffic court.
You bust through the wall, be like, oh, this is not where I need to be. I'm trying to escape, and I'm gonna go bust through another wall or try to get out in some kind of way. She just bust through, and
is she related to Black Adam? They don't know how to use doors.
I don't know, but yeah,
man,
I got you.
Point didn't go anywhere. The storyline was just dropped, and it was like, okay. Now, that's not to say that the show wasn't. I had and I'm documented on our own show saying, I love me some Madison. With the Y.
The Y. With the 2 N's and a Y, but not
the Y. If they don't bring her back, that's a missed opportunity. But at the same time, we got Wong doing questionable things,
right,
as a Sorcerer Supreme, because we got to tie Shang-Chi into this as well. Make it make sense is all I'm saying. So
Mm-hmm.
he's breaking the abomination out of jail. What are we doing, Wong? Are we not? So is the Sorcerer Supreme stands for I just do whatever the hell I want,
I mean, it
as
seems
long as I
like
can
it, because
binge
that's
watch
what.
the Sopranos?
I mean, even when Doctor Strange was Sorcerer Supreme, he pretty much just did whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, but he still had Wong there to try to keep him in line. It's like Wong's like you're messing with all of reality. You're kind of pushing the boundaries, dude. I know
Yeah.
you go do what you want, but I'm letting you know because even like with no, for it when the one that was Spider-Man, the third one, he's casting the spell to memory wipe everybody,
Right.
and at the same time, Wong's like, no, don't do that, don't do that. I'm gonna go, but don't do that.
But he didn't. At the end of it, he was like, "Just leave me out of it."
Okay, so Juan, that was very irresponsible too. You know who
And then we
Strange
still
is. What
don't.
happened if he don't even exist?
We still don't know where Wong was going, because he was like all
What?
bundled up and going like in the snow. He had briefcases and he just was gone.
Juan out here hoeing. Juan is out here. Yeah, Juan is out here sling ringing that thing all over the multiverse. Juan needs to be stopped. I need him to give me back that Sorcerer Supreme title. Sorcerer Supreme shouldn't be dying like this in the streets, okay? In the multiverse. You out here hoeing. You see what Madison was. Did Juan send her home? I think Juan opened that portal like, bring your little drunk ass over here. Juan, what you doing? Come on, baby. That's not how the Sorcerer Supreme is supposed to do this thing. Listen, there was a lot of things that was involved in that. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that they stayed true to the She-Hulk character. She break the fourth wall, but then you retcon all the ending, and again, kind of like how you were saying, just to throw fan service in there, throw a Scar in there, no explanation. Now you tease the X-Men. Really? Now we're talking about Hulk in a movie, and did what's the name of the organization? Intelligentsia.
Yeah.
Did Todd really get the blood? Is Todd a Hulk? Is Todd not a Hulk? He looked crazy as hell, but at the same time, is that something that happened, or we took it back, or we were rewriting reality? Is this? I understand, but now at the end of the series, I don't know what to do with this information that you gave me. Now, don't get me wrong, the episodic series that was going on from there to here, great. I enjoyed all of it, and I understand how they retcon and change the existence from her getting shot to her having a car accident. Great. Bruce Blood gets in her bloodstream. She's a Hulk now. Great. Now she's dealing with the identity crisis of being Jen and being a Hulk, and everyone loves She-Hulk, and they kind of shitting on Jen. I don't know why, because Tatiana could get it, but at the same time, she might not be for everybody. I understand, but
where you wouldn't say that she's not an attractive woman.
I don't know who would say it. Them curls too. What? Yes, ma'am. Talk about it. And for whatever weird reason, there was like a foot fetish in the show, and I didn't know women had foot fetishes too. So it was just interesting. Hey, I challenge anybody to go back. There's a lot of feet in that show. There's a lot of feet. They just don't understand why. As a guy who enjoyed comics, thank you. But I think story-wise, we were all over the place, and some things didn't add up, and some things didn't connect. And why Kevin had to be an AI? And is the AI tied into Kang the Conqueror as far as the TVA? Because it looks like old tech. Easter eggs, hints, convenience, or coincidence? Or is it like Spider-Man and Iron Man 2? He wasn't there. Then Tom said, yeah, that's him. And then, yeah, sure, that's him. Sure. Yeah, great.
You get somebody in the back who's like, does that add up? It might be off for like a month or so, but yeah, it adds up.
We go. There you go.
Right, we can take that.
So is that what we're doing? Is that, if that is, I need a lot of more foreplanning or pre-planning to try to make these connections strong. I mean, come on. As a viewer, I would like to see these things. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
But that's my number 7. Your number 7, sir.
My number 7. And this is kind of for a lot of the reasons why Miss Marvel was at number 8, but I feel like they did a little bit better. But my number 7 is Moon Knight.
Oh, oh.
No, it's just like I said with Miss Marvel. You had a lot of story to tell, and with Moon Knight dealing with the dissociative identity disorder and trying to explain that in succinct episodes while still trying to tell a Marvel story and get the villain involved and you know still have the action and the superhero ness of it. It just seemed like they were trying to tackle a lot at the same time because and I don't know if this is caught an episode or anything, but basically we were saying before, like we're not rewatching them to try to get a fresh perspective on it. We're taking what we learned from the show and we're going back on it, and so we're reflecting. But not rewatching Moon Knight, I'm like trying to remember exactly what the villain was trying to do. Like what was he trying to accomplish?
Ahmed,
Yeah.
so she could pass judgment on the world at one time because he was getting tired of going one by one in these little cult circles, passing judgment on people. You see, when she stepped into place, everybody got a tattoo. She's like, you get a tattoo, you get a tattoo, you get a tattoo. But the tattoo gave them the ability to judge. So they just started running up, touching hands, like, ha 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 ha, you dead, bitch. Ha ha ha, oh, you good. And it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, and she was just guzzling souls. She was a frat girl at a college party. Sorority girl, okay. I mean, it's semantics. Okay. Well, she was a frat girl at a, at a sorority party, and she was just guzzling souls. I thought she was going to be on a porno site before she was guzzling souls.
Never thought of it in that way, but just it did some things really well. I think that the suit,
like what?
I feel like Oscar Isaac's performance was probably one of the best performances out of any of the MCU shows.
Somehow Palpatine has returned. Oscar Isaac saved the show. I'm not gonna take anything from him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a blessing and a treat.
But yeah, it's just going through it. Like I said, I just felt like they were trying to put a lot in a little area. Just going through all of that stuff, and then all the Egyptian culture and Egyptian history and stuff like that. Now Mark has a wife, and they were running like missions and stuff together, and all of this other kind of stuff that you're explaining through all of this, and we're basically Steven in the show, and we're along for the ride trying to figure out what the hell is going on because we are new to all of this stuff. And it's just, I don't know, I can't say what it was missing, but I definitely feel like it was missing something to better streamline all of that and to, I don't know, just not seeming as jumbled up, and then having a third personality to come, as well, not the personality, but the third identity come in at the very end of the show in the post-credit scene, and it's just like, this is what everybody was waiting for the entire show, and now you're keeping it to the end when we don't even know if we're getting a second season. So we don't know when we're going to see this character again. And now you give us the thing that we've been waiting for the last 5 seconds of the season. Could possibly be the series.
got him. Made y'all watch the whole thing. Oh man.
But yeah, that's my number 7.
Moon Knight views on my Moon Knight slot. But I'm gonna say my number 6. Hawkeye.
Okay.
Hawkeye. And here's why. I am a fan of Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. They started this series off with intent, all right? we got flashback all the way to the Battle of New York. You seen Hawkeye, an average man, going up against aliens with a demigod, a genius tech, a ancient soldier, super soldier, and a spy, and a big green rage monster.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, he has a bow and an arrow. A bow and an arrow, and he's out there making it happen, calling the shots, just right there with it, with the quiver, and just this motion is seamless, it's effortless till you run out of arrows. Then you're like,
Right.
oh shit. And what we saw is he took the arrow back out of an alien, put it back in his quiver, had one more little trick up his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow had a ripcord, jumped off the building, and swung into glass. Here's the thing. Stop doing that to Hawkeye, okay? You go from Avengers 1 to Ultron to like everything else, all you got is him swinging into glass. In fact, they did this montage in the show about how he lost his hearing,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed everything that happened.
All the times he got
Why they
blown
do
up,
my
and
boy Jeremy? And well wishes to Jeremy Renner too. Thank you for your contributions to this, sir. I hope you're a speedy recovery.
Absolutely.
But as for the characters, Hawkeye, why they do the man like that? He got hurt in Age of Ultron. Half of his body is plastic, right? And he almost got killed in Age of Ultron. So how's that for foreshadowing, huh? So at the same time, man, why they do the guy like this? So now he has an opportunity to be at his best in his own standalone show. Now, some people are going to say, well, he should have been had a show. You're right. I agree with you. He should have been had a show. But at the same time, we're transitioning and we're bringing, this is like one of the real training mentorships for Kate Bishop, right? Mm-hmm. This is, even though the rest of the Young Avengers are coming along, we know they're coming along. They'll be here soon enough. When you watch this, if they're already here, that means we made this video before they came. We're on it. So they're here now. But this is the one that we really got somewhat training going on. Mm-hmm. So we start to get introduced to Kate Bishop, and we understand that she has a motivation to try to protect her mom because her mom's dating a swordsman who's kind of sleazy, but he end up is not kind of sleazy because Disney Marvel has a way of redeeming some villains or trying to get you to like them.
Yeah.
Just let them be villains. That's the whole good versus evil type of situation. But where the storyline starts to fall apart is Clint's trying to retrieve this watch for his wife because she's Agent 9, Agent somebody, one of the numbers.
Yeah.
She's an agent. She's a former agent, which they wanted to throw back to what Tony Stark said, that she was an agent in Age of Ultron.
And the kids are smaller agents.
Little, yeah, small mini agents. Great. But how, unless there's tech inside of this watch, I can't see how that traces back to her. And as a MacGuffin, it just didn't do enough for me personally. I'm only speaking personally. It didn't do enough for me to have motivations to miss hanging with your children for Christmas. He did make it home for Christmas. At the same time, this is a family man. He retired from the Avengers twice to try to spend time with him and his family on the farm. When his family went missing from that Disney, he lost his mind. He went on a murdering streak. There's nothing, he's the new Toretto. There's nothing more important to this man than family. Okay? Clearly. Dominic Toretto didn't take his car and go to China and start killing people. He just started drifting. He drifted the goddamn Charger.
Well, he did go into Tokyo, so we don't know what he did while he was there.
He didn't go kill anybody.
We don't know that.
You're right. I am Groot. At the same time, Hawkeye went on a murdering spree. Not justifying a murdering spree, but at the same time, we have to atone for these things that he did now that his family's back. And I would have appreciated if we would have saw the fallout of the Yakuza coming for Hawkeye from you doing all of this murdering of our clan, our members, our people, right?
Right.
That to me made sense. But again, we got to introduce new characters. So we get the Tracksuit Mafia, bro. You know, right, bro? You know what it is, bro? Come on, bro. Which doesn't really have any room in here for that. We could have, you would replace the Tracksuit Mafia with the Yakuzas. How would it have been different?
Right.
If you would have replaced them and said Kingpin hired, since we had to put Kingpin in, and no happy Kingpin's in. Shout out to Mr. D'Onofrio for bringing his Kingpin over, because he could have been like, "Nah, I'm good. I played that character already. I'm moving on." So thank you for that. But at the same time, if he would have just hired the Yakuza or got wind of it, you still
Same
and
story.
then he doesn't really have anything to do with Hawkeye anyway. So having the Kingpin be such a great reveal at the end, when again the fandom and the general public probably already knew the Kingpin was in it because we know who was in the show before. Just get to the part where he's in it. Let him be a menace. Let him do what he does. Why is he so strong? He took an arrow to the chest, got hit by a car, and he's still up and walking. He got shot in the face at the end. I'm pretty sure he's still alive because, again, you just brought him into the MCU. You're not about to kill him. So you're not really, you see what I'm saying? We're not really engaged with it because you're writing it bad. You're writing it horribly. Everything else, Yelena Belova, come again. I would love her. I want to see her in every MCU thing. She just brings a fresh energy to whatever property she's on. She killed it in Black Widow, and she killed it again in Hawkeye. And I'm quite certain she's going to kill it in the Thunderbolts.
Oh, absolutely.
So we got Kate Bishop learning how to be a Hawkeye, even though we thought this was going to be his daughter. Is that a plot that we drop plot? He called his daughter Hawkeye
in Infinity War. No, in Endgame.
Yeah.
In Endgame.
In Endgame. Yeah. So here's the thing. Is that foreshadowing, or is that a plot thread that just got left? Because we can understand if you brought your daughter in, but you know, you're retired and you don't want your daughter to be Hawkeye. Why'd you call her Hawkeye? It's just a term of endearment.
It could just, who knows at this point.
Yeah, this is why it's ranked right now in numbers. There's some things that's going on. Okay, so the Tracksuit Mafia is here, bro. When the next time we're gonna see them, bro? Are all of them dead? There's no way those guys didn't get eaten outside of that that van or the truck.
They're owl food. They're food for owls.
They're dead.
Yes, they are.
I guarantee you that. And how did he get Pym particles?
Same way he got Stark arrows, I guess. I don't know.
I don't see Ant-Man just handing out Pym particles like that. I don't, it's, hey, come on.
I mean, he shot him in the arrow. He shot him on an arrow in, Civil War.
We're besties now?
I mean, they might be friends. That's a shared experience that they share together.
Yeah, I don't see Ant-Man being that, loose with the Pym particles. And I know Hank is not out here.
Definitely not. Push. But if they said that they wanted Ant-Man to go on a mission, he would more than happily. But I mean, he is an engineer, so he could be making. I mean, Scott could make them himself. He just to impress
Scott
the rest of
the Pym particles.
No, I'm saying he has the Pym particles, but he's gonna make the arrows or the arrowheads at least.
I got that part, and he has excellent accuracy. We saw that in Ultron, Age of Ultron, when he threw the darts, and he's like, "Hey, it is what it is," and alluded to it even in Civil War when he said, "I went to play golf, shot 18, got 18."
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's something that he's trained for, but he tried to train Kate on it, and I just think that clearly he was a part of Dude Perfect before. Maybe he was an original member of Dude Perfect before he became an Avenger. there's a lot of stuff that just didn't make sense. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
why it is where it is. Well, clearly, somewhere along the line, our maybe one of us is gonna be the same.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
What's yours? What's yours?
My number 6 is What If. It's every single,
Take
every
my
single
breath
one.
away. I am shocked about. Now, listen, guys, we talked about this, and I'm talking to the audience. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about this beforehand, before we even did the show, when we made this list, that a lot of things didn't fall where we thought they would fall. And that's why I'm happy that we're doing this, because a lot of things may not fall where you think they'll fall.
Right.
Leave your list in the comments. Go ahead and
Sure.
say why. Yeah, they can leave that
Give
list
a
up.
whole explanation as to why you feel that way for each one.
You don't have to go that far. But just go ahead and from 8 to 1 or from 1 to 8, however you want to do your list.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure you put the numbers. So don't just, well, if you don't put the numbers, we don't know if you're going from top to bottom
Right.
or bottom to top. Why What If? What did you like about What If? Why is it so high on your low list?
It's because I know it's supposed to be an anthological series where the episodes were different because it's a different multiverse. You know, it's a different universe where, you know, things are different. What if Thor was an only child? What if Peggy Carter was Captain Britain? Yeah. And so
she could do it all day. She could do it all day.
The way you said that.
What?
Sounded suggestive. But I felt like
came out correctly.
Because of the differences in the episode and only having like just a little bit of connective tissue underneath it, because the Watcher was kind of pulling all the threads together and everything, I felt like there were more episodes that were missed than were hit. It's not that, because like I said with the other two, it's not like they were trying to do a lot, because every episode was sort of self-contained, but it just, I don't know, the stories behind some of them just weren't all that great. And then add on to that we can see that acting and voice acting are two completely different beasts. And I felt like some of the voice actors, because they got a good number of the original live action actors from the MCU to do their voices in What If, but there were some of them that are not great voice actors.
Are you saying that because Michael Jordan said Wakanda forever?
that was a little weird. I don't know why he inflected like that, because the rest of his dialogue was good. It's like he was fine for the rest of it, but
sound like a roller coaster ride.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But that was you know, that's part of it. You know, some people did, it's translated different, I guess. But just some of the episodes, I think Party Thor was probably my least favorite episode. It just, I don't know, to me it just wasn't good. But we get the climax at the end where Ultron actually succeeded. He put his body in Vision. He ended up getting the Infinity Stones, and he ended up seeing outside of his own universe, to where he was cognizant of the Watcher and the knowledge of the multiverse. So he wanted to go and destroy all the universes that he could, because as Ultron did, he sees humanity as a threat, and just as we have conflict on Earth and we're ultimately destroying our planet, there are other planets out in other universes that are doing the same thing. So he's going out to destroy them all, and we're left with that. And because of course we're getting season 2, but they end it with basically the Watcher putting together his own version of the Avengers, picked from, you know, different universes and everything. And we get this battle with Killmonger and Ultravision, and now they're stuck.
Evil Doctor Strange.
Well,
it was Evil Doctor
Strange. Yeah, it was Evil Doctor Strange. So now they're stuck in this
before you say
pocket
that
universe.
If Uatu would have just shut the fuck up.
Nobody would have known that he was watching.
Ultron wouldn't have heard him, but he kept narrating like,
because he's out in the cosmos by himself. He don't have nobody to talk to but himself.
Ultron turned around like, who the fuck said I could see you? Oh my! He's like, you can't see me. Like, you ain't John Cena, dude. I could see you. And he broke right through.
Right.
The goddamn. So you don't like the fact that they caught in they're frozen in time.
Yeah, they're frozen in time. They're frozen in existence in this sort of pocket dimension. But it's like,
it's like a Rick and Morty mind blowers.
So where I know that's the cliffhanger that it leaves us.
It wasn't Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange had to watch the orb forever.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was Killmonger and Vision, or Ultra Vision. They were going at it.
Yeah, you were right. I was wrong yet again.
but yeah, basically, I know that's supposed to be the cliffhanger where we leave it before we get into What If Season 2. But I don't know. It felt like, I'm not gonna call it lazy writing, but it's just like, it's convenient that you have this. And they have to do it right. They have to do it with these overpowered villains. They have to have that one thing that just happened to go right at the exact right moment, so that way you could stop it. Where you would think that in reality it's just, we're done for. This is too powerful to beat. There are too many variables to try to get all in the line to try to defeat this entity or whatever. But it just all seemed very convenient at the end. So, and I felt like those building all the way up to that, and to have that be the payoff is.
So you're saying that Killmonger wasn't greedy, then we're all would have been done for.
Right, because it's like, we know that the Killmonger who was raised, in Wakanda, and he was the Black Panther and all this other kind of stuff. So there is some nobleness to him, even though we do see that. Well, no, that he was raised by Tony Stark, right? Or he saved Tony Stark's life. That's what it was. He saved Tony Stark's life.
Wait, was this the same Killmonger though?
I think so. Yeah,
this was a different Killmonger.
Was it?
He plucked from a different reality though. There was the episode where he was taken over, and that's when he invaded Wakanda. Yes. Right. But then on this one, he pulled a Killmonger from a different episode or a different multiverse and used him knowing that he's Killmonger. Sound like a rewatch.
Maybe. But to answer your question, right, if he wasn't greedy, he wasn't trying to, get his hand on the Infinity Stones, then no, all of that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have to have this, whole battle at the end of it.
But isn't that the great part of Uatu though? Isn't that his power to be able to see somebody?
No, it's basically the same thing as Doctor Strange in Infinity War. He sees all of the possibilities, so he makes moves, because he's not supposed to intervene, because he can make things happen the way as he sees fit. But because he has that knowledge, then yeah, he makes the moves. If he's going to intervene, he pulls together this team because he knows exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to perform.
Makes sense. He is not omnipotent, but he knows enough versions of who's bad, who's horrible. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna go get the one Killmonger that's easily redeemable versus the one that I need that needs to be morally corrupt enough to do what I need him to do.
Right.
Yes. So basically, he had it in for Killmonger initially. So he's like, oh yeah,
he was too much of a threat.
It didn't make sense to go ahead and kill two birds with one Infinity Stone. Or one orb. Do you think we're going to see this orb again play out?
In Season 2?
Is Ultron going to break out of this thing? Because rumor has it, Ultron's coming back. This has been confirmed or not confirmed. I said there's a rumor, but they, I don't, there's so many hints that he's coming back. There's no way that Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda is going to say one day AI is going to take over and kill everybody. Then we got this Ultron head in Spider-Man: Homecoming with the eyes glowing red,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ultron bots that was in the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange. They're getting you. That's laying seeds. They're getting you geared up for Ultron's return. I can't imagine Ultron not coming back. Now, I don't know if they're going to get the same voice actor to play him, but at the same time, Ultron. Dun dun dun. Man, is that all that you didn't? Is that why it made
Yeah, that's why I was number 6 for me.
this very low ranking? What if?
Yeah.
There was, I mean, nothing else about it. Just could have pushed it to be lower, higher.
I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of things that they could have did to be lower, but to
Well, when I
be
say lower,
yeah,
upward.
up higher on the ranking, higher on the list.
Right.
But I think that, like you said, just the whole thing about the Watcher, because his power is to be able to oversee everything, and you wouldn't think that if he can see all of these possibilities and these eventualities and everything like that, because he sees everything, then I don't know. I just felt like you were talking about Ultron hearing him because he's talking and he won't shut up, but he would
Shut the
know
fuck
better.
up.
He would know better because like. And like you said, it might be a rewatch because we have to go back, because I'm pretty sure he said something about because it was an AI that got the Infinity Stones and was like able to download all the information of everything from it. That is why that was like beyond his sight. But it just everything doesn't add up,
And that's why it's right there.
and that's why it's at number 6.
That's why it's at number 6. We are what, halfway through? No, not
We're
halfway
just
through.
about halfway through. This next one will be halfway
Just
through.
about halfway through.
Yeah, but let's speed it up a little bit.
Well, now number 5. I got the doctor of dissociative disidentity disorder himself, Mr. Moon Knight.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Moon Knight was a great class in dissociative identity disorder, DID. For those who didn't know what it was, you got a great education. I think that's what's the core that came into this with, and then we started stacking everything around that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get the introduction to a hero in a traditional way, and I appreciate that. We got questions out the gate. We got a guy, his fish got one fin looking like Nemo. We're trying to understand what's going on. He's tying himself up. Clearly, something's going on that he doesn't know about, and he's trying to make sure that he's not getting out, doing things crazy. He's taping the doors. He's got sand all around his bed. And while watching this, I was thinking, if you are the one who locked yourself into this, when you wake up, you're clearly going to be the one who unlocked yourself as well. And if you go into the extent of putting the tape on the door, when you open the door, the tape is going to do 2 things, 2 or 3 things, 2 out of 3 things. One is going to stay on the door. When you pull it, it's going to stay on the door, all the tape.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is going to stay on the frame of the door. When you pull it, the tape will go this way. It'll go this way, or they'll stay this way, or it's going to break in half. Now, again, if you have the wherewithal to unshackle yourself from the bed, chances are you have the knowledge just to go ahead and put tape back on when you get back inside. So I don't know if that spoils anything for anybody that was watching Moon Knight, but that's clearly where my mind was. So it's like, who are you doing this for?
Right.
We had kind of like a Tyler Durden, Fight Club, Ed Norton, Brad Pitt type of situation going on, where you're not getting enough sleep, and when you fall asleep, your other identity takes over, and you start a Fight Club, or you're doing things that you can't recall. Now, great premise, nothing's wrong with it. We're invested as an audience. We understand, because we're comic heads, that Moon Knight has multiple identities. But to the general audience, you want to take them on a trip. I'm not mad about the Egypt tie-ins or the connections to Egypt, because we got to get to the pyramids at some point in some type of way. Excuse me. What upsets me about Moon Knight is let's just go ahead and get it all out there. Great things happen in Moon Knight. You got to sympathize with uh, his name.
Arthur Harrow.
No, talking about Moon Knight himself.
Oh, you talking about Steven? Mark?
Steven. Mark, Steven, Jesse, Tommy, Jake, the top Jackson 5, all of them. You got to get to know all of them except Jake at the same point. Billie Jean's not my lover. The point of what I'm saying is the way you introduce everything is not traditional. And we don't get me wrong, we're begging for not traditional stuff. We want you to be able to tell your stories, but at the same time, make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Layla's calling Mark because Mark's their husband. And even though there's a big secret that Mark killed her father because they was going on missions together, Mark died or came close to death. Now he serves the guy Khonshu. That's a relationship that he made with Khonshu.
Mm-hmm.
But Steven was there before that.
Right.
So now you're gonna retcon this and say, well, it was always Khonshu playing thoughts and stuff on Steven. No, that's not really what's explained into the show. Because in the show, his mom was abusive and verbally abusive, probably physically abusive to a point that he had to switch identities.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he stepped on a bird skeleton when he was young, and the implications of the seeds that was there, that it could have been conscious. But again, there's no definite throughout the show. So he already had made the identity switch. And even more so once his father died. Or was his mother died? Somebody died. I don't remember who died. His father died. He didn't go to the funeral, but he stood outside.
Mm-hmm.
Or his mother died and his father saw him, and he snapped. And he calls his mom. Never talks to anybody. Leave voicemails, all kind of things. You really feel what's going on with this character. Mm-hmm. Again, Oscar Isaac played the role to a T. But when we start to get into the more Moon Knight type of stuff, question marks of all kind come about. I think me and you talked about, is he immortal? Is he not immortal? Is he tied to Khonshu, as then Khonshu is his anchor? So if Khonshu dies, then he dies, or he doesn't die, but Khonshu almost died. When Khonshu got turned into a statue, does that mean Mark could have died? All these questions that I had that we didn't really get an answer for. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, now Mark's wife is a superhero because she has the hippo lady. She's her avatar. And then we're going to the duat, and whew, I'm tired just talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Let alone watching it and trying to ingest it.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on wrapped in the DID story. And we just was here for Moon Knight. I want to see Moon Knight talk. This part was cool.
Yeah.
Infinity Crescents. So that was cool. But we only see that play out once. So Arthur Harrow's calling demons out from I can't say Hades, I can't say hell, but I don't think it was hell. It was just there's another demon dimension. Dogs that another dimension. So, but they were Egyptian in origin. So Egyptian hell?
I mean, different planes of reality, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, She-Hulk had the same thing. She pulled demons out of dimensions. Donnie Blade pulled demons out. Ghost Rider's coming. So he pulled out demons from another dimension of which we could deem as hell. I mean, there's no way we're not getting hell in the MCU. We had too many breadcrumbs sprinkled across. I mean, Multiverse of Madness had 2 shots of skeletons crawling in the fiery pits of somewhere. And then we had demons coming out of this dimension. And then, hey, I don't know where Wong's going, but he clearly needed a coat. Moon Knight, on the other hand, we're pulling out demon dogs. We're fighting these demon dogs. We don't see the action. In fact, you and I talked about that. A lot of the show, we didn't see the action at all. We just got flashes, and then we seen what happened. This man had a scarab in his hand with blood all over his fist. we didn't get the chance to see how'd he get that. Like, did you punch through anatomy or as Jake, not as Moon Knight? Like, what is going on? Now, one of the cool things, they did have the transitions when Moon Knight got kicked that way, and then uh, the other Moon Knight came, was Mr. Knight came running back, and
Mm-hmm.
Moon Knight came. Yeah, that was cool. The transitions was cool. The transitions was one of the coolest things in the show. There was
Yeah.
a lot of transitions in the show. One of the silverest, shiniest knives I ever seen in the show to talk to the reflection. But okay, whatever. At the
Right.
same time, we're all over the place. And I would think, again, and we talked about this many a times, if you stop trying to cram all of this stuff into these 6 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a better chance to tell your story the proper way. And I think if it wasn't such a gamble in the initial times, we're coming out of phase 4. Clearly, they understand that they need to give these characters room to breathe to be able to tell a better story.
Yeah.
Moon Knight was on my list for that. What do you got? Who do you have?
So for my number 5, this is where I have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I agree with you wholeheartedly about this stuff that we are looking at. But I also, the reason it wasn't lower was I appreciate the message that it was trying to get across. I feel like it was an issue that was kind of shied away from in other, just other issues with discrimination and all that
Race,
kind of stuff, race.
discrimination.
And of course, they don't necessarily talk about that. And you probably won't see that in an MCU movie. But at least on that front, I did like that. But no, I agree with you. The whole thing about Sam not being able to get a loan, and then like the broker at the bank was like, well, there's this big gap, on for 5 years. Like, well, what were you doing? It's like, motherfucker, we got blipped. You probably got blipped too. So it's like, what
Come
do you think
on,
this 5-year
yeah.
gap on my my employment history is? It was like I was gone. Half the population of the world was gone, and I like that was one of the things. It's like, this is why you're not higher on the list, because it's like, why would you? It's like, I know it's supposed to be like you say, it's a whole evil thing about, oh, he's going up against the banks and all this other kind of stuff, because we have to make Sam look not perfect, right? Because he's not living in Avengers Tower, he's not hanging out with Tony Stark like Steve was, and just basically, because Steve never had a problem, Steve was living in DC, right? Just chilling.
The only thing he says, I don't know if I can afford something, but that's no indication of how much he was making.
Right.
One, if you really look at that military status, he was a captain.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, he was clearing captain salary.
Right. And then talk
Yeah,
about
well,
back pay. You get how long he was in ICE, who's still in service.
Him and Tony probably got the same amount. Let's compare zeros.
Right.
You'll check the my check.
But yeah, and it's just, like you said, the Flag Smashers, and because I know that there were a lot of things that they had to change because of COVID and the pandemic, because the whole plot line was that the lady that Carly was doing this in the name of, she died over a pandemic like virus. But yeah, but
Which is not unheard of. I mean, we did the
no,
same thing in Civil War. In the beginning, there was a biological virus that crossbones that stole, that if it would have got airborne, would have took out the world.
right. But culturally sensitively, that was before COVID. So it's like, now we don't want to.
So
Writers
COVID foreshadowing.
no, but writers don't want to make it seem like they're using real world tragedy for entertainment purposes, or like, I'm not going to use, because there's a virus going around. We're not going to make light of or use this as a plot device for a villain's origin story or something like that.
Oh, really? Did we not just blow up the UN where King T'Chaka was and framed it on Bucky Barnes?
Yeah.
Do they not have terrorists blowing up buildings?
No, I'm not saying that they
Do
don't
we
have
not
terrorists.
blow
What are
up
you talking about? I'm not saying that they don't
in
have terrorists blowing up buildings.
that's the same thing, right? That happened. And they in Iron Man 3, we blew up with the extremist program.
Right.
It was a bomb.
I
Here's
don't
your
know.
cake.
I just
Enjoy
think
your
that
cake.
COVID. I just think that COVID was a sensitive subject, and they just opted not to draw any similarities to it.
I know the show must go on, but not when you need major rewrites.
Right.
I think you need to. And again, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out first. I
Right.
think they did the best that they can with what they had and try to piece it together again. I didn't think that they were going to even touch Isaiah Bradley. The
Right.
fact that they did that, shout out to them for including that, because even though that was canon in Marvel, I never thought that would see any screen, silver or small.
Right.
So I was like, there was a Black Captain America? What? And I'm not trying to just divide it racially. I'm just showing that, yes, there was a Black Captain America then, and there's like a Black Captain America now.
Right.
So how's that for full circle?
But yeah, and it's just like you said, with that many rewrites and everything, and then like you said, Sam is like, yes, you understand that you have to be kind, you have to be virtuous and everything, but Carly was killing people. Carly didn't kill her, she was killing people. Like, you have an issue with Bucky working with Zemo, but now you're trying to save this girl who's actively killing people. And it's like, hypocrite much, but
here's your cake, enjoy your cake.
Exactly. But
you can eat it too.
And it just seemed like they lent too much into him trying to be like Steve. Like, yeah, I understand you want to make Steve proud, but you're not Steve. You can do things your way. You have insight that Steve didn't have, which is like basically what Bucky told him, is like, you have a perspective that Steve nor I could share. And I feel like he should use that. And I'm not read up on the comic book, so I don't know if it's a bit different in the comics. But yeah, Sam is a good dude. Sam is a helpful person. But then at the end of the day,
also a genius in the comics, though.
Right. And so we don't see Sam get to have his own personality and make Captain America his own. It's basically Sam being Steve Rogers being Captain America, because I guess in his mind, that's what he thinks that Captain America is. So if I'm going to be a Captain America, then I need to be this. And it's like, yeah, you need to have certain morals, certain guidelines and everything, but you can still be your own individual. And I felt like they kind of stripped that away from Sam. And, and attempts to...
That's because he's a Black Falcon. When those kids say, you're the Black Falcon, he's like, I'm just Falcon.
It's just Falcon.
You're black, right? Yeah. You're the Black Falcon. And I get it that you can't change your skin, or at least it's questionable if you want to, Sammy Sosa. Michael Jackson. It's questionable if you do so. But at the same time, you have to deal with the fallout of doing something so dramatic. And why would you do something as dramatic? And at the same time, like you're saying, you can still be you. And even though this, let's just call it greatness, or this mantle has been thrust upon you by the person who has actually carried it himself, he clearly saw something in you. There was a choice. He could have gave the shield to Bucky. He could have. Right. Bucky even had the super soldier serum in him. He has the more capability to carry the mantle. Right. And that would be a nice redemption arc for Bucky to, I have to do right by Steve. You could have made the shield magnetic. It could have caught on to the irons. You know what I mean? There's so many places you could go with it. But at the same time, he gave it to Sam. So now we've seen him struggle with it. And man, I didn't think the show was gonna be a struggle. I thought the journey was. Damn. What did you think about Bucky's redemption story inside of
I thought that was I thought that was a great representation of, the remorse that Bucky felt after he got that, the brainwashing out of his head. That scene,
Shout out Wakanda.
shout out to Wakanda. So that scene was absolutely beautiful. Having Io be there and it's like clearing him and like testing him, and then the tears well up in his eyes, like he finally
Yeah.
realizes that he's free. Perfectly, expertly performed by Sebastian Stan. Phenomenal scene, but is his redemption arc, like going to therapy, like not.
That's a winter soldier right there.
When he's like, hold up, you talking about me. Go ahead and fix that. But I felt like that was a great way to show that he was trying to be better. Like, even though he didn't have the shield, like you said, I want to be a better person for Steve. He still wanted to be a better person for Steve because Steve knew that he could be that better person. He saw that in Bucky and him actively trying to make amends, having his, his notebook of all the people that he's wronged and not being able to tell the old man that he was the one that killed his son, but he was basically his best friend, being like what his son would have been, I guess, for him had he not been killed. And
why do we cut away from that? That is something we were invested in with the story, and then we just cut away from it. We didn't get it. There was no payoff with it. You could
wasn't the payoff that
he was leaning.
Wasn't the payoff that he eventually told him?
Yeah, but we didn't get to see that. They didn't go into that. We just, how did that go?
Right.
Did the old man pull out a Ginsu and like, how you killed my son?
You've been smiling in my face for the last 15 years.
Come on. And what's the story going on with the waitress? Because clearly that was a thing.
Yeah.
So if you weren't going to lean more towards the pandemic type of virus type of stuff, you have places to go. I'm surprised it made it to the spot that is at on your list, because to me, all the way at the goddamn top,
because
which is the bottom.
In lieu of all of those, or in spite of all of those problems and those issues, the acting from Sebastian Stan, the acting from Wyatt Russell, the acting from Anthony Mackie was phenomenal. The portrayal of that hate relationship, that I won't even say love-hate relationship, because it was a straight hate relationship between Bucky and Sam.
Was hilarious.
It's just great. And seeing them, because we've seen them in interviews, we've seen them doing press tours and all this other kind of stuff, because outside of Civil War, we only had just a little bit of the interaction between Sam and Bucky and them kind of going back and forth with each other. But since then, we get all of these behind the scenes interviews where Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie, they're just like, they really seem like they're friends and that they, fuck with each other. And so now we get this show to see them act opposite of each other. And that's one of the few like brother type relationships that we see in the MCU, because most people, they have a team, but it's not just a one-on-one thing. But that, and then the action, the fight scenes, the choreography was great. Bringing the Dora Milaje in, that fight scene when they were all going at it. And it just showcased the power of the Dora Milaje. And what did I say? The Dora Milaje are wherever they find themselves to be. Like, okay.
Mic drop. It's done.
But yeah, just that kind of stuff. And like I said, the message about, discrimination and race and equality, and how, that plays a factor into what Sam and other superheroes of color would have to go through. Even though they're superheroes, they're still seen as less than if they're, walking down the street or whatever.
I don't know. I don't think Don Cheadle's roadie is dealing with that. Boom, you're looking for this? I think he gets all the respect.
Well, he's also in the military, so...
That's right. He'll light that. He got a cannon that goes right here. I wish you would say something.
But that's kind of stuff, that's what pulled it up, like, apart from the other three. It's just, there was a lot of things that weren't great, but I was still able to appreciate it for all of the other stuff. And you'll see that that's kind of like for a couple of the higher shows that I have, and it kind of falls into that same vein. It's like there were some bad things or some things that kind of just didn't work, but beyond that, everything else, it elevated it. All right, so now
What
we're up in the
number
top
one?
half. We're in the top half of our list. So now we're at our number 4. So what you got for number 4?
For number 4. You tell me what you got for number 4.
Oh, so we're switching it up at the top half. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because we got the top half now.
So for my number 4, I have Hawkeye. So the reason I have Hawkeye that's high, like I said,
Cause you like it, bro. It's okay.
the
It's okay, bro. It's okay.
the Tri-Suit Mafia is not a part of why I like Hawkeye. Because like you said, it could have been just any gang, and it didn't have to particularly be the Tri-Suit Mafia, but because they're in New York and it's a low grounded level thing, not dealing with super science or mystics or outer space. We have to have a group
You mean
that's
not dealing with the big three?
not dealing with the big
Big
three.
three?
No,
The wizards, what's the other
androids
one?
and aliens.
Oh.
And so they have a grounded group. You have the Tracksuit Mafia, like you said, fan service, just because they're a local gang in New York. That's n- not necessarily tied to any other superhero where they would have to, like, if they were doing what are the Skull Riders, like Tombstone's gang, then we're like, okay, well, we're Spider-Man, and it's just all this other kind of stuff. So it didn't bother me that Tracksuit Mafia was there. Like I said, it could have been interchangeable for any gang, but
Could have
we
been Rockstone shit.
could have been Rockstone, But like we mentioned before, seeing everything that Clint had gone through in order to get him to this area, like you say, he retired twice, he lost his family, got blown up, he's lost his hearing, if not completely in one ear, is damn near all gone. Um, but we get to see him like the because the next time we see Hulk, he's like you said, he has an island. Tony's gone. Uh, Natasha's gone. Thor's off planet. Steve's gone. We don't have anybody else from that original 6 who's gone through all of this and is now able to react or show what their life is like having gone through all of this. And so we see that emotion, we see the struggle that Clint is going through. And agree, this whole MacGuffin of him chasing behind his watch, and that's the only reason he gets involved in all of this, is absolutely, ridiculous. It could have been easily him getting back into it because he's trying to protect his family because of, like you said, all the people that he killed during like the period between Infinity War and Endgame. Um, but being able to see him deal with that memory of Natasha, that he's really the only one who knows exactly what happened because he was there, and then having to deal with all of that. Then we bring in Kate Bishop, like you said. Haley Steinfeld is an absolute delight. She's fun. She's the right kind of, like we've talked about when kids are in movies and how kids are annoying, but she's like, because
Yeah.
I guess because she's like more of a college student age, she's like the right kind of, you're pissing me off, but I still kind of like having you
Yeah.
around. And
Mhm.
we see the annoyance in Clint's face and having to deal with this and only being tied to this person because they so happen to steal my Ronin outfit, and now I feel responsible for them if something happens to them because they're going to think that she's me. And their relationship and their banter, I felt like it was comical. It was, it was well scripted, it was well performed, and it just gave us that. I feel like it was a proper introduction to Kate Bishop, like you said, going into the Young Avengers and seeing everybody else that goes in. I felt like we got a good enough origin story about Kate, her motivation, why she idolizes Hawkeye, and then everything that she's gone through in order to try to impress him, to try to be the best, Hawkeye that she could be. I felt like that was sort of the, I don't know. I guess like that's probably like the best way that we could have gotten Kate, and then bringing in Yelena and having Kate and Yelena interact with each other, having Clint and Yelena interact with each other, and it was just, I don't know. It was enjoyable to me. I felt like that overshadowed the clunky plot with Kingpin and Kate's mom working with Kingpin and what they want to do with Swordmaster. Is he bad? Is he not bad? He seems like an idiot, but oh no, he's just actually really smart. But oh no, he's just a really kind of weird good guy. And all of that.
And Echo's there.
And
Echo's there.
Echoes there. Yeah, and so the emotional beats for Clinton, his struggle and his relationship with Kate, and then the story with Yelena and him, both Clinton and Yelena having some closure. I feel like all of that overshadows all of the other little stuff, and so that's why I have it at number 4.
Mm, mm. My number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is Miss Marvel.
Okay.
Listen, they did their homework on this, and it's not to say that everyone else didn't, but unlike having the DID of Moon Knight forcefully fed down my throat, I get it. There's guys in this mind. We brought in apartheid, and we talked about some real history for that. I'm grateful for, because I'm
Mm.
not going to sit here and say I knew much about it. So this is on the other side of what has gone on in actual history that they're using for the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And at the same time, this is our first introduction with someone that's actually in verse universe. Don't get me wrong, we did get it a little bit with Hawkeye. We did. And she was glamorified by Hawkeye. Like I said, he jumped off the building. She saw this from her bedroom and she was like, it makes sense why she would take up archery. She's seen this guy doing incredible things.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get the other side of this. You hear about Captain Marvel doing incredible things. So of course you're gonna fangirl out. You want to be Captain Marvel, and who doesn't want to be Captain Marvel?
Right.
I want to be Captain Marvel too. Let me shoot energy blast from my hands and fly around. I don't even have to worry about a suit. I can breathe in deep space. I don't have to worry about climates and temperatures, and I can take a headbutt from Thanos, and stand up, and survive getting a power stone to the face. So again, she's clearly the title of the company, so no one's going to be stronger than her. I don't think Sentry is going to be stronger than her or the one before above all. I digress, but let me get to the point of what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Marvel had the pleasure of introducing us to a lot of things that I wasn't aware of as far as apartheid. Now, I agree
Partition.
100% partition
Yeah.
is the divide of the word that I said and the word I should have said. I agree with you wholeheartedly 100% with the rushness at the end,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the motivations of the clandestines that want to go home, but they can't wait to go home anymore. Like, you waited
Right.
literally for years and years and years. Now
But
all of a sudden,
now,
like, she
it's the
killer,
bangle had been in
killer.
existence, and it's like, oh, now all of a sudden, I guess because she activated it, it's like, oh, now we could go home. So
You
we
right.
gotta pressure this teenage girl in 2 days in order
Yeah.
for her to understand her new
And
powers and send us home.
and then at the same time, you lost your. What about your son? Oh yeah, my son. And I was step into a vortex that you just seen someone die from. That immediately, you had no idea that your powers were going to go to your son, or us as an audience member had no idea that the powers are going to go to. And at the same time, come on, man, you're trying to kill these kids in front of a school that Kamala got to put a whole force field up to let her boy toy crush get away, to run away to overseas, and it's but there were some great things in there. There really were. Uh, maybe we should have went further down on the list.
I mean, you got it at number 4.
I mean, they got the shoe stealing kid in there, stealing shoes.
And you wonder why I had it at number 8.
I understand. I mean, you know what it was? I'm gonna go ahead, get close. I'll tell you the real reason. There's a Brie Larson cameo at the end. You put Brie Larson in there. I was like,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
the redemption.
Look,
You
at
know,
least
saved this whole
you're
show.
honest. At least you're honest.
Hey, every story need a little more Brie Larson. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Can't wait till the Marvels. Here we go. Yeah.
So,
other than
yeah.
that was it. That was what saved it from me. Oh, Brie Larson is in this. Okay, I'll watch it again.
Just to get to that part.
Yeah, because the fact that y'all trying to squeeze Kamala Khan in as a mutant is BS. The fact that she messed over Bruno is BS. She had like 4 love interests and she didn't get with any of them. And it just don't make any much sense to me about what's going on. When you created a paradox is when you lost me, but at the same time, welcome to the MCU. Can't wait to see what you do in the Young Avengers. To me, this whole phase 4 was like, can we get through to this so we can get to where we need to go to?
Yeah, and like a lot of people saying, it's a new saga. We stepped out of the Infinity Saga. Now we're in the Multiverse Saga. So now we have all these origin stories. Phase 4 is about building up new characters and introducing us into new characters. And so now that we've gotten all the introductions out of the way, moving into Phase 5, now we can carry on these stories. We can see the main course of everything that's going on and what we're building up to with Kang.
Yeah, but at the same time, we got time with these characters. We had not 1, not 2, but 3. No, Ragnarok came after in Endgame. So we had 2 Thor movies, we had 2 Captain America movies, and we had 3 Iron Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we had compassion for these characters. We seen Thor lose his mom, lose his father, have a sister that he didn't know about, lose his eye, lose his friends, his family,
That's
half his people, and his brother multiple times, and his girlfriend.
It literally Loki has died in every Thor movie.
And if he doesn't die in the next one, something's wrong. You gotta formula that works.
He's not in the 4th Thor, but if he's going to be in the 5th Thor, I don't know.
The sun shall shine us on again, my brother, or something that he said before he got his neck. Get it, Disney. But that's what I got. The Miss Marvel, and I'm just gonna be honest, it's Brie Larson.
Well, fair enough.
Call me before the X-Men come. They stay true to the characters.
Rogue is coming for you. Rogue is coming for you.
Rogue is coming. She go suck all that juice out. Oh damn!
But
I might not even see Brie after that.
I don't know, but we'll see. But no, going up to my next one, my number 3. My number 3. This is where I had She-Hulk.
Huh? You like toes, huh? You like feet?
See, you did this when we did what we did. I think it was like episode 5 or 6. You're trying to put this stigma on me. No, that's not. This is not why I like the show.
Nothing wrong with feet. I like feet.
Go ahead. That's on you, but that's not me.
Little cute, dainty feet. Little cute feet. Don't come out there with the monsters. The monster wild for scummy. Oh my god.
But no, I enjoyed She-Hulk. I thought She-Hulk was fun. I thought She-Hulk was different in the time where we're getting all of these shows that has this, big bad that they're trying to stop and all of this other stuff that they're trying to prevent. I felt like this was a show where we didn't, even though we had the overarching storyline, like you said, it was episodic, everything was self-contained. We had the connective tissue, throughout, and I appreciate that. The show started off with the whole cameo. We started off with Mark Ruffalo in episode 1, even though I know that they said that her origin was supposed to originally be, I think, episode 7, episode 8. But of course, because of COVID, everything gets changed around. But I appreciate the way that they did just kind of get it out of the way. She-Hulk, boom, here she is. This is what she's dealing with. Hulk tried to train her to make sure that she, knows everything that he's gone through. And now we have this internal struggle. Her internal struggle was to me, I felt like that was the big bad. That was what we were building up to try to defeat. Just her uncertainty of who she is as an individual now that it's not Jennifer, it's not like Bruce Banner and Hulk and two personalities clashing against each other, two identities clashing against each other. She is Jennifer Walters. She is She-Hulk. They are the same person, but like you said, people seem to like She-Hulk more than they like Jen. So how do I deal with that? How do I accept myself into accepting, like, this is also me? So even though they like She-Hulk, but they may not like Jen, it's still they like me, and I need to pull that all together. And I just thought the themes of it,
She need to
all of
talk
that,
to Moon Knight. She need to talk to
they might have interesting conversations. Um, but all of that story end with the meta commentary, and then you had the supporting characters were still great because
yes,
because Pug was my dude, and you had all
one
of
for
the
rocking and one for stocking.
exactly. But pretty much like that whole entire law firm, they were just anytime they were on the screen, and it seemed like I don't know, it just seemed like old primetime TV where you had the primetime comedies and stuff like that. Like every week it was something different, but you had your same cast of characters, and they would get into some kind of hijinks, right? And so having that formula for the show be different than anything else that we've seen in all the other MCU shows, I think that just kind of, for me, put it higher than a lot of them.
Are we getting a She-Hulk Attorney at Law season 2?
I hope so. I
Kind of
hope
make
so.
you figure what's Kane the Conqueror gonna do since they're not confirming new shows from the old shows. I know we're
Mm-hmm.
getting the Echo show and we're getting Armor Wars and we're getting the Ironheart.
And Okoye, the Midnight Angels.
Where's the She-Hulk Attorney at Law season 2?
I don't know. Where's Moon Knight season 2?
Yeah, you can keep it wherever it's at. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that Jen Walters will show up in Daredevil Born Again, but
Oh,
that's
I
again
agree.
outside of her show. Well, the chemistry,
Also,
like they
also, Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock. Killed it
that's what
and
made
killed.
that's what
That's.
made it sit high on your list.
Listen,
I can respect it.
I know you have your thoughts and your feelings about Daredevil and how you say he's a trash superhero and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh, he was
But
in the dumpster. I'm not. Rosario Dawson found Daredevil in the dumpster. What? This isn't what happened in his own show. I'm just saying. I mean,
I love his performance as Daredevil. I love the back and forth between him and Jen and the fight scenes and being able to see Daredevil fighting again. They have the hallway scene and paying homage to the hallway fight scene that he had in his show, and then I have Jen just kind of drop through the ceiling and everything. It's like, what's taking you so long? It's just those are the things that I enjoyed about it. That's why it's so high for me.
and you like feet. So
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is What If.
Okay.
Listen, I love the fact that we took the MCU as you know it and put a twist on it. Put a little twist on it and you're saying there, right there. That's the moment that made everything different. Because in this infinite number of worlds and universes and timelines and multiverses, there are other options that happen. We clearly saw some of that in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness when they defeat Thanos,
Mm-hmm.
but they use the Darkhold, and so because they used the Darkhold and started dream walking, you now have the Illuminati that said, "Nah, my guy, you got to go. We
Right.
don't trust you. You got too much power. I'm sorry, 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 sorry." Just saying this was a reason because there's other versions, other multiversal versions, and then again, we get to see some of those. We get to see Steve what happens if he didn't take the super soldier serum. He now has a ironmonger suit
Yeah.
because Tony Stark's dad made an ironmonger suit, which
Maybe.
is
Yeah.
interesting because he said he was limited by the technology in his time that he couldn't even make a suit.
Mm-hmm.
So what changed?
Well, not that he couldn't make a suit,
Peggy
but he couldn't make a, what was it,
element,
the
the
element that he
vibranium
was trying to
element.
make. Yeah.
Has this been confirmed that it's vibranium? Have we
I don't,
synthesized vibranium?
I don't know. That's never been
It's not
confirmed.
confirmed.
No.
So he made an element, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah, Jarvis said he successfully created a new element, but they never assigned a name to it, to my knowledge.
Interesting. Okay. So we got this Ironmonger suit. This is the Hydra Stomper for those who want to get technical. Got a clipboard for you technicality people. The Hydra Stomper, and I liked it. I liked the fact that we had twist on the. Here's something I didn't like, but it's not much.
Mm-hmm.
We I like that we got the absolute point. The point that I didn't like is that the multiverse of madness kind of stole stuff from What If.
Right.
Talk about lazy writing. We even have a shot for shot of the incursion happening and this incursion happening, which it wasn't an incursion in What If. It was you breaking the absolute point, which again, something new. We never had an absolute point in time before. That means this has to happen.
Right.
It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, you'll destroy the world. That's crazy. That's something that you can't just kind of brush over from introducing that inside the MCU.
So here's my question. So if it's an absolute point and this happens in every single universe, do we eventually see?
But it's not. It doesn't, because Christine didn't die in the 616.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm saying if it's an absolute point, do we eventually see Christine die in 616?
Let me say this: the Sorcerer Supremes have now been shown that they're full of shit. Okay, so the first one was called the Hypocrite, so you can't really trust nothing they say. And Wand and Doctor Strange have been both Sorcerer Supremes, and clearly they lie a lot. So
they do all kind of shit that they know they're not
all
supposed to
kind
do.
of questionable things. So can we really take the word of the Sorcerer Supreme?
That's fair.
Okay. So, but I love the fact that we explored these options. I mean, I never thought, and plus, I never thought, let me finish my thought. I never thought that I wouldn't finish my thought. I never thought that we would get these versions like we're getting. And at the same time, we got zombies now in the MCU. Brought to you by What If, baby. With the zombie Steve and the zombie Wanda. And one of the most heart-wrenching things, we saw the Wasp get taken down by zombies. And she saved the day because she brought them in their hand. And then we got zombie Thanos. Man, who wants to fight that? But I love the fact that we got different iterations.
Scott Lang's head.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. They should have left that the Futurama. Paul Rudd is a treasure. I'm so sad he's going to get his ass whooped in Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you come across Jonathan Majors, I'm just cross universes right now. I think Michael B. Jordan will go get his ass whooped by Jonathan Majors. This is the year of Jonathan Majors. He got like 5 movies coming out. He does. You whooping everybody's ass. But yeah, that's why I have What If is my top 3rd.
Okay. All right, top 2. So, so far, we have not said each other's top 2. So, we'll see if these match up.
I have a feeling it's either going to match up or it's not going to match up.
I mean, it's either will or it won't. 50-50 shot.
Woo!
But my number 2 was Loki.
No, I didn't gas.
You did not gas. But Loki, in the sense of us talking about now we're in the multiverse saga, Loki definitely took us to where we could get the most bang for our buck when it comes to different timelines. right? And so we still have this, well, at least for me, I still have this question: what's the difference between timelines, realities, and dimensions, right? Because they're all like
I
that's
can
three
answer
different
that
things.
for you.
Okay.
Allow Mr. VIP Frankie Washington to answer that for you. Okay, so a timeline, as they
Right.
showed in Loki, by He Who Remains, made all of these timelines, which, as they showed inside the timeline itself, is not just one timeline,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually many multiple timelines and time streams inside of this one circular timeline. And it's supposed to repeat itself. That's Owen Wilson, Morbius,
Mobius and Mobius.
said that's what I didn't say. He says it's supposed to go on and on again and again because that is the flow of time. And he was telling that to Loki. You're supposed to die. Thanos is supposed to kill you. And that's just what your life's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
played
the
with
fact
this.
that you left this time, you left your timeline, now you mess things up.
Yeah, but at the same time, another Loki who was scripted by He Who Remains because she's a failsafe or he's a failsafe. I don't think he was doing it with sole purpose of saying whether it need to be a man or a woman, but he was doing this in case he wanted a way out. So again, the breadcrumbs were led because eventually you had to get to this point where you're either going to relieve me or you're going to kill me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm tired. He says this. He says, I'm older than when I look. I've been here for a long time, and the idea is either you take over or you're going to kill me. But I don't want you to know if you kill me, you're going to release an infinite number of me's that's all painting back to get to the exact same spot that I am now. And you
Mm-hmm.
won't be able to stop it, and I can't do shit about it because I'll be dead. What you want to do?
Right.
Because he was tired. He was tired of doing everything that he was doing. Now, dimensions are inside of those timelines. There's a She-Hulk here, She-Hulk here, She-Hulk here, and she opened dimensions for all of those little things. Or sorry, Donnie Glaze opened those dimensions, or maybe Johnny Blaze in one of the timelines opened it up. But the dimensions are inside of the timelines. Pocket realities are inside of the timelines as well.
Okay.
Galaxies are inside of those timelines. And what was the other one that you were questioning?
Your realities.
And all that is the reality of that timeline. So reality dimension inside the reality, multiversal inside of this huge loop that spirals around, and you have a pretzel when you're done. But it's a circle, more like a freaky circle.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But
I thought I could
so
try.
now Loki's giving us all this information. Just like you said, we get He Who Remains, he explains how all of this works and why it's an issue and what we're going to get into going into the next phase of the MCU. And so having all of that, of course, seeing more Tom Hiddleston, having Owen Wilson come in, the introduction of Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains. I'm sorry, I don't remember the actress name who plays Sylvie, but the back and forth that they had with each other, the two Lokis, well, Loki and Sylvie, and getting, the first look at different, well, not
Yes.
well, because I was about to say the first
Yes.
look at different variants, but we also
Yes.
had in Endgame, we had they were from a different timeline, or they were from the future, so it's not a variant.
Right. You're right. You're so right you don't even know that you're right. But you're
And
right.
that happens sometimes. But yeah, so our first look at our first look at different variants in the MCU. So we got Gator Loki, we got OG Loki, we got Kid Loki, and we got President Loki and all this other kind of stuff. And
We
so
also had Throg, which was a
we also
frog
had
lord.
Throg in the jar, which is also a variant of Thor.
How do he live down there?
I
There's no
don't know.
oxygen down there.
No,
Well,
there
yeah,
isn't.
Thor don't.
Maybe
Thor doesn't need oxygen.
maybe Thor was just recently buried, so he'll
Throg.
he'll figure it out. I mean, he still has control of Mjolnir, doesn't he?
He should have been able to spin that hammer and get out of there. But
Well, did Mjolnir shrink with him as a frog?
you think it's less powerful because it's made with
No.
wood.
I'm not asking if it's less powerful or anything because it's smaller, but I'm saying would it still shrink with him, or would it still be the size of regular Mjolnir?
No, I think you can shrink. The question is, can anybody else lift it because it's small?
No, he still holds the
Because
same
they're not
power.
worthy. Yeah,
It's gonna be
well,
it's gonna be this big, and he still can't
and
pick
you
it up.
can't pick it up. Ah, you weak.
But no, I thought that the entire show was very well done. I thought the introduction of the introduction and explanation of timelines was incredible.
Better
TVA.
than what the ancient ones said.
I mean, they'll it will allow them to expound upon everything that the ancient ones said in more detail, because of course that was only like just a short scene with Mark Ruffalo or with Bruce Banner, and just explaining like why, if you take the Infinity Stones from the timeline here, what repercussions it would have, and get the plan to bring it back, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh well, if Steven gave up the time stone. Well, shit, my whole life is a lie. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do now.
Yeah, I keep telling you, not reliable. The goddamn social supremes ain't reliable. You can't take their word for shit. Y'all don't know what the hell they talk. All them books ain't nobody reading shit. All they wanted to read was Wong. And I don't even think he was finished because he was listening to Beyonce.
He was listening to music. He was just looking in the book while he was listening to Beyonce.
Yeah, you're not about to multitask and read why Beyonce, y'all. You about to dance. You about to Beyonce. You ain't about to read. You crazy? You doing it wrong.
But yeah, so it was a great story. But no, it was a great story, and building up to it, building up to, like we said, building up to Kang now, and getting the introduction into He Who Remains. I thought it was a great show. It was great entertainment. The romantic love interest between Loki and Sylvie was probably my least favorite part of the show, just because of the whole, this is a variant of yourself, and you're developing romantic feelings for yourself. It was a little weird.
I know how you feel about Beth in space, Beth. God damn.
It's weird.
Is it masturbating? It's you. I'll just throw that question out there.
I don't know. But that's probably like my least favorite part of the show. Everything else is great. But yeah, but that's my number 2.
My number 2 is WandaVision.
Okay.
That's right. I thought they were gonna be the same with our top 1 or top 2, but they're not. They're different. Not. And let me tell you why it's different. I like WandaVision. In fact, I don't have too much negative to say about it. In fact, I said it earlier in this absolute show that it saved Disney from being canceled. They actually had you tuned in, mad, waiting to see what's going to go on next week, because we had so many questions like, how's Vision alive?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
Why they in black and white?
Kids. Why is it in black and white? What is going on? And to unravel that and say that she was dealing with grief, that she lost the android that she loved. This is not, you know how it is when your toaster breaks, you're mad, you're sad. I don't know if there was courtesy going on with the android, but they clearly had gotten close between Civil War and the Age of Ultron. And, well, clearly that's what she likes in her men. No back talk, okay? You do what I program you to do. And unconsciously, because remember this is unconsciously, she created a whole hex around the city, and she was just living out. Well, here's the thing. Was it unconsciously? Because it clearly seems as though she knew what she was doing. This was before the Darkhold.
Yes.
But at the same time, she's grieving. Now, I don't think she really meant to torment the people of Westview.
Mm-hmm.
When she was having dreams, they would lash out, they would torment them. They were playing a role in her mind, in her sitcom, dealing with a lot of trauma there. Parents lost in the Sokovia, in the missiles. Sokovia, right? Not Sokovia.
Yeah, it was Sokovia.
It was Sokovia. So the missile, Stark Enterprises hit their house. Parents died. She kind of did a proximity or
hex,
preliminary hex
on the missile. Probability hex.
probability hex on the missile. Are we gonna play and say that Wanda's not a mutant now? Yes, we are, because we don't have those rights to say mutants yet. We just got those rights to say mutants around Miss Marvel.
We were working on that, but if if WandaVision wouldn't have came out as early as it did, we would have had the rights to it when it was
We would
supposed
have
to come
had the right,
out.
exactly. So I understand the legalities of it all, but at the same time, you did what you could, and I think you actually successfully did a great story. We got the introduction of Billy and Tommy, which again are going to be in the Young Avengers. There's no secret about that.
Mhm.
We got Vision back. They killed him twice more in this show, actually three times. I have no idea why y'all hate Vision. Y'all just keep killing him. Then we got Albino Vision that came in. That Sword was putting together. Man, these guys are heartless. Did you not see Hayward try to shoot children?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 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 These kids that did nothing to this guy. For Disney to love kids, they sure wasn't showing it during season 4. Okay. School shootings, neighborhood shootings from grown people trying to shoot kids. That's just, if you're trying to make a villain evil, kill a dog or shoot a kid, guarantee you no one likes them.
Yep.
So, good thing Monica Rambeau, who has questionable backgrounds of how
Also
she's getting her,
potentially a mutant.
potentially a mutant. Why not? I mean, you're a mutant, you're a mutant, you're a mutant, you're a mutant. Everybody could be a mutant now since we have the rights. But at the same time, her EKG or her DNA or her CAT scan or whatever the X-ray she used, the last one was right, already showed that something was going on physiologically, words, inside of her body that she couldn't show up. You can't even see her bones. It was all light. We didn't get that story, but again, the Marvels are coming, and maybe we'll get some of those answers there. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I think they did a great job showing us what happened after the blip. Remember, this is some of the first time that we started to see people phase back, and we got a little bit of taste of what was going on in the chaos of the blip. She lost her mom. She beat the cancer, but she still lost her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to deal with that in the 616, which is good to see her in the 818. But at the
838.
same time, 838, at the same time, it would have been great to know where she was inside of there, but we didn't have time for that. We got a crazy witch coming and trying to take the Illuminati down. We executed greatness on this. I love the episodic shows. I love how they threw it back to the kind of tropes and the things that was going on back in those times. The
Mm-hmm.
boss coming over for dinner, but something still strange because Wanda's kind of freaking out. Then we had the magic, which is practical magic. Things are on strings. It was like it was meta. It was all
Yeah.
over the place, but at the same time, it was good. Then we got color showing up. Then we should like bump that. We'll transfer into color. So now we got other weird things going on. And then seeing Vision get drunk off of gum. Ha! Ha! God, it made sense. It gunked up your system. So Sensozoid that, you non-gum chewing. I think it was a good show. I'm very upset that we can't get a season 2 of WandaVision, but I keep hearing about this Vision Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Wanda come out of
The rubble of Wundagore Mountain.
yeah, because clearly she's not dead. I think she just probably teleported. Who knows?
Yeah.
She could bend reality at her will, but it'll be nice to see them come together again because White Vision's out there putting color on himself. I don't know what he's doing. You just like, I am Vision, and I flew off to like, where are you going, dude? Like, you would think if you were Vision, like really Vision, you would go back and help Wanda because
He had to go find
clearly this
himself.
clearly this
He
relationship is
had
one
the
sided.
conundrum of, am I Vision or am I just a synthezoid with Vision's memories? And he had to figure
Yeah,
out how
but
to come to terms with that.
when he touched his sweet spot, then he came to the realization that he said, I am Vision, and then he flew off. Like, I understand you got to save Paul for something else, but at the same time, let him go ahead and, well, I guess if he did not leave, we couldn't have the heartfelt goodbye. Can I address this real fast though? No, the
But, but,
show's
but,
great.
but let me ask you, did
Go ahead.
Wanda even see wanted to saw White Vision, right? Because I knew she was fighting with
Choke the shit
Agatha.
out of her. He about to squeeze all her head. He about to bring a brain marrow on the outside.
Well, because what I'm saying is that you would think that if he did show up again, that she would just try to obliterate him because she would still see him as a threat. I don't think she'd give him a chance to explain himself.
The last thing I remember, you trying to squeeze my head loose. I'm surprised she didn't make him a puddle of milk right there. Like, let me go, mayonnaise. Get me out of here. Back up, Snowflake. This dude was just all white, like a fresh pair of G-Nikes. Damn, Sword is racist. They could put one color in the dude. But I did enjoy the story. I will say this though. I understand you have to save Paul for another movie, but if he did come back, we wouldn't have had the heartfelt goodbye that we had to say to Vision again. You killed him like the fourth time. Can we let this go? What is pain besides what do you say?
What is grief if not love persevering?
That is not a bar, okay? That is not with great power come great responsibility type of bar. Everybody's treating that as like, oh my God, he's so deep. No, he's not. He's shallow as a puddle. Just stop. Just stop. We could have found something better is all I'm saying. But that's why that's not my number 2.
Well, going into that's my number 1. My number 1 is WandaVision.
The transition is real.
But I feel like having to be sort of pushed into the slot of being the first Disney Plus TV series, being the first TV show for the MCU's Phase 4, I felt like they started off perfectly. With not only, like we said, exploring the ramifications of that grief, because we got a small glimpse of it in Infinity War when Thor was talking to Rocket, and we sort of made a mockery of it in Endgame because because they made it, they didn't address Thor's like mental well-being after losing his mom, after losing his brother, after losing half his people, after losing his best friend, and now failing after all of that, saying that he was going to kill Thanos, and he made it there, and Thanos taunting him, you should have gone for the head, and snapping, and Thor having that weight on his shoulder, thinking that that was his fault, that he couldn't,
let's be honest, it was his fault.
Well, yeah. But
I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to say his feelings.
And then hoping to redeem himself by when they try to go find Thanos at the beginning of the Endgame, in him still being too late, and he's already destroyed the stone. So there's nothing that Thor can do to redeem himself, which is
Heath Ledger in the Dark Knight. It's like all that power, and there's still nothing you could do.
Right. And so, but the only thing that we do, because the next time we see Thor, now he's Fat Thor. And now, Rocket and Rhodey are making jokes about him. And so we don't address that grief. We don't address that pain. Even when, we get to the point to where they've got all the stones and Tony's like, okay, well, who's going to be the one to snap? And Thor's like, I clearly it's me. Let me do this. I need this. Let me do this. Like, we can still see how it's tormenting him after all of that time, but we never address it. We never talk about it, because at the end of Endgame, now he's off with the Guardians. And even in Love and Thunder, we don't address it.
He's just doing Van Damme kicks.
Exactly. And we don't address why he wanted to get out of being a superhero, why he wanted to stop doing all of the, phenomenal fights and all this other kind of stuff. But we still never address the grief. And so we get that from WandaVision. We get this person who's lost her parents, who's lost her brother, who's lost her country, and now she's going into the Avengers and she loses the love of her life. And
not only that, she was arrested and tormented with a inhibitor. And where are all these inhibitors coming from? Who's making these?
Who's manufacturing these inhibitors?
Who's manufacturing? Wanda?
AIM, Roxxon. I mean, Hydra, because
The
they were the ones that got her and Pietro.
wow, we gotta address that.
Hydra inside the
Clearly,
government.
clearly they are in multiversal universes because even in Deadpool there was an inhibitor there, Deadpool
Mm-hmm.
2. So we're gonna have to address this at some point. Even in Deadpool 1 there was an inhibitor though, because they put it on and put the newly made super soldiers, villains, heroes inside of casket coffins and they were selling them. Francis,
Yeah.
somebody's got a little side project.
Mm-hmm.
Riri, what you were doing. You
You was making
unknowingly
was
making stuff
right. It's like, oh, here's a project. I need you to put these components together.
just for fun, just if
But
you could.
right. I don't
Inhibitor.
me personally, I don't think you could do it, but
I mean, I put $1,000 on you
right.
can't do it.
Those guys over there, they bet me that you could, but I was like, nah, she ain't got it in her.
Nah, she ain't got it. Nah, she can't. A mutant human ability inhibitor? Nah.
But
Bruce did something. Bruce got something on his
yeah,
arm.
Bruce had an inhibitor on his arm to keep him from turning into the Hulk.
What Bruce doing on this side projects? Clearly, that wasn't the first time that he might have made something like this. We thought he just asking
I
questions.
mean,
guys.
obviously he's doing something. He got a whole damn lab on an island by himself.
You don't think Tony got that for him? I mean, he
No,
was really
no.
fanboying
He
with
even
Bruce.
said that he and Tony they built all of that together. I know that for a fact. The SARS has Stark Technologies on it, but like, is he testing his limitations? He had no idea that Jen was going to become a Hulk. So why does he have a cage, or with razor blades coming out of the wall?
Good question. Who that was for?
Exactly.
Mm, you started some shit, Spider.
but just being able to get all of these different other shows that have the action, that have the fighting, and all this other kind of stuff. And WandaVision wasn't about that. We got a wizardry battle at the end, but that's not what the show was about. That was not the heart of the show. The heart of the show was seeing Wanda being able to go through these, even though they're tropey, stereotypical sitcom experiences, but seeing her go through all of these and having them relate to her, her life. And it, not to say that like channels like ours and New Rock Stars and Screen Crush and all of these other kind of channels that break down movies and TV shows, right? And so not to say that these didn't exist before WandaVision, but having WandaVision come in and put the different like little Easter eggs, the nod to the theme music, and having that rewatchability and people going into it and pointing everything out. And it's like, oh, well, this date on this calendar is circled. What does that mean? And it's like going through each episode, I feel like it spawned a new genre of content creation for this particular like genre, like going through all the movies and breaking it down, the Easter eggs and how it ties into the comics. And I feel like WandaVision was able to elevate that with the way that they handled their story and going, examining this relationship and why she was able to do this and how the public would, perceive her afterwards. And it's like how nobody understands.
It's like good the Scarlet Witch is. She changed reality.
Right. And then we get, and I'm sure that people were wondering like, okay, well, this is going to be an MCU show, or it's going to be tie-ins to the MCU movie. And so we get Darcy and we get Jimmy Woo, and we bring those familiar faces from the MCU movies and we bring them back and tie it together to this bigger universe and everything. And Monica being great, Darcy being great, Jimmy Woo being, people went crazy over Jimmy Woo just come up.
It was master magic at this point.
Sleight of hand.
We happy for him, right? We happy for him.
Up close magic. And yeah, it was a struggle. He worked at it and he was like, got it now. And just
who was Jimmy's witness? Let's just go ahead and throw that out here. Let's see if we can get some answers to this. Who was Jimmy's witness that he was going to investigate?
There's no way that we could know what that is. I have no clue. I don't know.
Gonna see Jimmy in the Thunderbolts is where he's gonna show up. Let's just go ahead and we're not finished with Mr. Wu.
But yeah, and so just going through that, and like you said, the nostalgia of going through the different eras of sitcoms and everything, and how those values played into how Wanda was brought up and the type of person that she wanted to be, and then flipping on its head. And of course we all knew that something was amiss with Agnes, the best friend, who shows up because obviously you know something. It was Agatha all along. Yes. So it was so well done. It was the perfect amount of, when it was the 50s and 60s, it was the perfect amount of campy. It looked like it was watching I Dream of Jeannie or The Honeymooners, like you said, or Bewitched. Yeah, like you said, the whole trope of the boss is coming over for dinner and you're trying to impress them and everything goes wrong. Wanda's magic is going crazy in the kitchen and things are floating and they're trying to keep it hidden away. It's just the right touch of that, and it's like you can see that they really tapped in to those different tropes of those different eras, and to where now we're sucked out of the sitcom and now we're actually into reality and the hex is falling apart and we're seeing exactly what happened and why Wanda sprouted this, and we get to revisit what happened in Vision. Was like, if you ever wondered, well, after because it was 5-6 years at this point, because it was 5 years with the blip and then, however long afterwards. But what happened? Because, they all got dusted away, half of the population, but at that point, Vision was dead. So what happened to his body? And so we get into Sword and we see Vision sprawled out on the table.
It was so heart-wrenching. They don't like Vision parts at all and everything.
And so
Vision.
It's just like they hurt our hearts in ways that we could not have foreseen. And just being able to relate to, losing that loved one and having to deal with that grief and not being able to control it and not being able to control your emotions and be able to cope with what's going on and going into like some type of, coping mechanism to deal with it. And that was Wanda's. She reverted back to her childhood where sitcoms were her comfort, and just because she has the power of the Scarlet Witch, she's powerful enough. And we see, and speaking of tropes, we normally see tropes of the discovery of a person's powers, or discover that they're a super powered individual, is through great emotion. They get angry, they get frustrated, they get sad, and then something blossoms inside of them and now they have superhuman abilities. And so because of that unspeakable grief that Wanda had, and it's just like you think about it, it's like you lose the love of your life. You see that they've been mutilated, they've been abused, or whatever, and then you find out that they were ready to like just leave everything behind and just start a life with you, and now all you're left with is this memory of what could have been. It was like, that's a lot to deal with.
And then they wouldn't even give her the remains of Vision to like put the, it's like, nah, you can't,
like, nah, this is Sword property. This is like $30 billion worth of vibranium or whatever, how much it was.
I'm about to rewrite the whole reality. What mouth? What? I can understand. But she didn't know how to use her powers at that point in time. Mm-hmm. I got it. I understand. But at the same time, shout out to Elizabeth Olsen, because she does one of the most insane back bends in WandaVision that you see when she's like leaning back and like the essence of Vision is coming out of it. She almost looked like she's about to come out.
She did it in Infinity War, when she picked up Proxima Midnight and she threw her into the bus and she did a back bend like that. She's been doing that for years. She's been hitting it.
Flexible.
Yeah, she picked up Proxima Midnight and then flung it back into the bus and she just bent back.
Yeah, she got extracurricular time to do extracurricular things. That's all I'm saying.
Look, my number one she was training with Steve Rogers at the Avengers facility. So at the end of Winter Soldier.
Is
Not
that
the
what
end
you
of Winter
saying?
Soldier. Yeah, at the
Steve
end
taught
of no,
Steve
at the
taught
end
her
of
how
Age
to
of Ultron.
Steve taught her how to bend her back like that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Steve was flexible.
Hey,
You saw how many times.
She-Hulk said Steve Rogers was fucking. So hey,
Steve be out there
U.S.
drop kicking
Protocol.
fools left and right.
Yeah, I always thought that reverse back heel kick that he did on backdrop was weird, but okay,
He,
it is what it is.
he's a very
Flexible hero.
agile, he's a very agile person.
That's America's ass. You just remember that. My number one was the King of Mischief himself. The man is burdened with glorious purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Loki. And here's why. Like you were saying earlier, we got introduced to variants, all right? We get to see all these different versions of the same character, which was meta because I think Disney knew exactly, Marvel knew exactly what they were doing with different IPs. It makes so much sense. So therefore, when you later on get a new Tony Stark, you understand that this is not Robert Downey Jr. This is a variant of Robert Downey Jr. And that's going to make it more easy for people to accept these new characters and move on. Because before we knew Hugh Jackman was coming back as Wolverine one last time, well, he hasn't said this one last time. He's just coming back. So if this movie is a success, I'm pretty certain that he'll come back again because.
Probably.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are friends. There's no secret about that, and they'll be happy to work together again. I mean, Hugh's not really doing much. You cut him a check, he'll do it. The beautiful part about it is Ryan predicted it in Deadpool 2. He says, your friends are going to ask you to come back. Say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds. Thank you, Hugh Jackman. Thank you, Kevin Feige. But at the same time, you now have a way to explain why you now have a new Wolverine, and it's not Hugh Jackman. Now you have a new
Professor
Storm.
X, new Storm,
and it's not
new
Halle
Rogue.
Berry.
And
Exactly.
Because we had already gotten that in 20th Century Fox, we had a new Storm, but it was supposed to be them in the past, but it didn't track with their, origin stories that they had already set from the original X-Men trilogies. So now we have a new set of X-Men. Before in the original X-Men, Cyclops was the leader. He was one of the first. But now, even in X-Men Origins Wolverine, Cyclops was one of the first. But now we get in X-Men First Class, we get Havoc. We get Cyclops' brother before Cyclops. And so, it's just, like you said, it'll give them an explanation as to why, why are none of these people the people that you're used to seeing? If now everything is supposed to be, contained within the MCU.
And the MCU did a big thing. I will say this about Phase 4. Okay, if nothing else, if this was a mission to overall say what we achieve, not necessarily through the stories or the shows or even the introduction of characters, it was introducing the general public to multiversal stories, to the multiverse existing, and they hinted at it with Spider-Man when he went on this trip to Europe. The multiverse exists. And then we got the Multiverse of Madness, which again wasn't a lot of multiverse, but you got more versions of the multiverse and variants inside of Loki.
Right.
Now you got a more understanding of this is Loki. He looks like Loki, but this is Loki, and he doesn't look like Loki. This Loki is wearing the original Loki outfit from comics. This Loki
isn't that
Loki? He doesn't look anything like Loki. And he has a hammer. And it's not Mjolnir, but he's Loki.
Right.
This is a gator.
Right.
And this is a kid. And he's Loki. And he killed Thor. So you got an understanding of who these guys are, but you got an even deeper understanding from Kid Loki. You're saying every time we try to redeem ourselves, it's like the universe doesn't want us to, and we're forced to be exactly who we are, the King of Mischief. But at the same time, you learn that, and I love that they played on this, free will versus predeterminism. If he who remains said everything that you did has led you to this point, were the choices that you were making yours, or were they predestined? We all have that question in life.
Right.
Like, am I making the right decision? Yes, you are. By watching this video, you've made the right decision. So I want you to know.
Is this where you were always going to end up?
No, you chose to stay here. And you made a good choice. But at the same time, you introduce this to the general public, and now they're more accepting of this for the stories that you want to tell and how you want to tell them later. If
Mm-hmm.
you was trying to do nothing else, you achieved that. But this show gave us so much more because now who else could Loki fall in love with besides himself? And it was a version of himself that he was not used to seeing. She's powerful, she's crafty, she's intelligent, she's skilled at fighting. She's missing a horn, which is interesting because, you know, his horns are huge in
Right.
his hat, but at the same time, hers is little. And she's missing one. Reminded me of the little fish from Moon Knight with one fin. Anyway, the point of what I'm saying is you got this. And then you have a story that starts to thread the needle of tying in everything that we're about to see in phase 5 because everything felt so disjointed. And you can say it's because Sylvie killed He Who Remains. And it may have something to do with that. I'm sure without somebody there holding that sacred timeline together, all things are able to go awry, which is why the spell went wrong in Doctor Strange, which is why, you know, Wanda is able to, you know, go crazy and dream walk.
Dreamwalk.
And well, maybe she could have dream walked before, but I'm sure she would. He Who Remains would have probably intervened. He Who Remains probably would have told Uatu to shut the fuck up, and we wouldn't have had Ultron coming through trying to break the multiverse. They were very vague in saying a decision. It's kind of like what if one different decision could take you off your directed path,
Mm-hmm.
causing a branching reality. Which again, without somebody there to clip that reality and bring it back to the sacred timeline, we're gonna have variants, all kind of variants,
Right.
and now we're gonna see all kind of variants inside of these new franchises.
Mm-hmm.
We already have in Spider-Man. We saw not one, not two, but like different Spider-Men in this storyline. And I don't know why they didn't put Miles Morales in there, but I guess they want to stay true to the comic books and have him come after the incursion is finished and we have one reality. But okay, we know he's coming.
Yes.
Some way. Work it out, Sony. But that's my number one, Loki. And it clearly starts to thread the needle, like I said, into everything that's coming because you and I talked about this. Phase 4 felt so disjointed. And I knew we had to do a soft reset after something so incredible like Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get, you know, we had to come down. It's something that took, 20 movies, a combination of 10 years. I don't think we're going to have to wait that long, clearly, because we're going to start to see Jonathan Majors go ahead and kick all kind of Ant-Man ass. And right now, what we're set up for is King Dynasty at the end of the year, and then year thereafter, Secret Wars, which will be wrapping up the Multiversal Saga or the Kane Saga. I don't see it being. I could be wrong. I don't have a problem being wrong. I've been wrong on this show. You count. I don't know if there's going to do $1 billion with these two Avenger movies. Maybe together, combined. There's a lot of work. It's too early to tell. There's a lot of work, that groundwork that has to be laid down for us to get emotionally involved and invested into the heroes this time around. Because let's just knock on wood. They kill Ant-Man. You killed him too early. Or if he loses too early, which you're not, again, you're introducing the bad guy. If you want him to be a menacing threat, I can't see how you don't make him win in his introduction. Sound like when Thanos beat the shit out of the Hulk. The Hulk said, Thanos is coming.
Immediately
Hulk
put
didn't
respect.
Hulk didn't show up in the rest of the movie. He's like, no, Now you want to try to play it like, nah, they're just dealing with something. Hulk liked the smash. Hulk got punched in the throat, and you heard Hulk holler. I was like, oh shit, Thanos got them hands. He from Titan. He from Titan. The streets of Titan. He playing around with that. He let they was about to intervene. The Black Order about to intervene. Ebony Maw was like, nah,
let him have his fun.
Hold on. Took them hands on. Hulk was looking like, what the hell? and it was just an onslaught of ass technical, strategic punches. And he just got Hulk didn't know what he couldn't smash shit. He was smashed. He got punch drunk and went home and said, Thanos coming. I don't know what y'all gonna do. But rewatch that scene. Rewatch the scene. Hulk was leaving. Bruce was coming back. Like Thanos coming. You already seen in Ragnarok, Bruce Banner say when the Hulk's in control, I don't remember shit. He remember that ass whooping. He's like, Thanos coming. Oh shit. Y'all better do something. I can't help y'all at all. Damn, that was a beat down. Like Tony was like, turn into the Hulk. What you doing?
He's like, I can't.
Oh, performance issues. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, now that Jonathan Majors is here to save the MCU by killing all the heroes, it's gonna be interesting to see if we gonna care about him dying. Because I can tell you out of this list that we just went over, don't care. She's not going to. He's questionable if he's coming back. Don't care. She's not going to. And she's already dead. And I can't see him stopping Kane even in his own show. Now, I'll even clarify that by saying I don't care if Falcon dies. I don't care if the Winter Soldier dies, which I know that they're not because Bucky is going to be in the Thunderbolts. I don't even see them fighting up against Kane. I know She-Hulk is not going to die. Hawkeye is questionable if he's even coming back. No disrespect to the real situation that's going on. I don't care if Moon Knight dies, which he's already showed that he can't because he died
right
in his own show and came back to life and still didn't save the day. She was guzzling so. I mean, it was like a porno flick. She was guzzling so. Miss Marvel's not going to die. What if it's not a show that has a hero that's going to come out? Or maybe Uatu is going to come out, but Uatu can't die. So that'll be X in Makia. He come and just save the day. And then Wanda is already dead. And like I said at the top of this, I don't think Loki is going to win even in season 2 of killing Kang.
No.
I think we're going to see more Kang winning in Loki season 2. Closing thoughts.
Phase 4, as far as the TV show is concerned, just like you said, Phase 4 in general had a lot to do. You came off the Infinity Saga, you're starting fresh, you're getting into a new round of stories that's going to be tied together to this next big villain, and you're making TV shows for the first time for this new audience of MCU viewers.
Yeah. Some growing pains.
Yeah, and so
some misses.
We
like Kevin said,
we saw, and then add into the scheduling issues, injuries, COVID, all this other kind of stuff, and having to shift stuff around. So that maybe the cohesive story that they wanted to tell in the beginning might not have came out the way that they intended with all of the changes. But with that being said, the story, for the most part, without some smaller details, the overlying story makes sense. I feel like they still achieved their goal and what they were trying to do. Into, like you said, Loki introduced us into different variants. Moon Knight introduced us into different, deities, the Egyptian gods. We talked about the Asgardian gods. Miss Marvel, going back to the celestial, but also a little bit mystic, a little bit of both maybe. And then, retconning the whole Inhuman thing, and now she's a mutant, and we get the connection to Miss Marvel and what's going on with that, and is the Bang something to do with Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, and so everything that they set out to do as far as connecting these shows to the MCU continuity, I felt like they did enough to sprinkle enough in from comic lore, but also into where we can go now and keep these tied to our movie properties. But I'm excited for Phase 5 and what the TV shows have in store. Again, like I think Echo is Phase 5. getting into again Loki season 2. I don't have them all listed in front of me, but
There's Armor Wars.
Armor
There's
Wars,
the
right?
Agatha Harkness
Yeah,
show.
Covenant Chaos,
Uh,
and just
I
going
know
into
there's no
those.
Moon Knight.
No, as far as we know, there's no Moon Knight. But just being able
The
to.
Mandalorian 3. The only reason I say that's because She-Hulk's jumping out of shows and going into other stuff. So hey,
She was still in the MCU though.
She jump into that James Gunn Christmas special. See what happens.
Just showing her back dancing with Swole Groot. Fucking arm. Like, who plays the guitar like that?
Hey.
I love the fact that there was even a woman in the audience that reacted to that. It's like, what the fuck is he doing?
Talent right there. That's how you
strum a guitar. But no, I thought it was great. I thought that like you said, growing pains. Of course, everything wasn't perfect. We see, some shows are stronger than others, but going into, everything else for the rest of, this multiverse saga, I liked it. I thought it was a great start. I thought it put us on the right track, and I'm excited to see where we're gonna go in Phase 5.
Huh. Yeah, me too. If you guys feel like Phase 5 is gonna be it, what are you looking to mostly? Let us know, and we'll talk about it.
And like we said, let us know how your list ranks up for all the TV shows in Phase 4. Do you agree with our list? Because, of course, we had 2 very different lists. Let's see how it stacks up against yours. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this show. If we want to see us do more rankings, want us to have more lists, we'll figure it out if it's part of a franchise or just a set of movies. Top, rock movies. we'll try to rate those.
If you smell
Going back from the Scorpion King. But no, just let us know in the comments.
That's a nice idea right there.
That's a lot of movies though.
Hey, it's Hollywood's #1 action hero man right now. So,
Listen. We'll talk about that at a later date. But if you like this video, go ahead.
Hierarchy is about to change.
Don't start with that bullshit. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes that go out. If you want the audio version of the podcast, remember, just search for All Things Super on all of your major streaming podcast platforms.
The words are hard, man.
They are.
If anybody knows, I know.
And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tweet at us at ATSuperPod.
Ooh, I think this is one of those shows that if you don't like it, well, damn it, you just don't like us, because this is a good show.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of good insight. But we'll see what they do for our next round of Disney Plus shows. But until then, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.